welcome back to another Nextlander podcast. Alex Navarro, here we are. It is still heat dome-ish outside, but I will say, not as humid.
It's 98 degrees, and I'm not talking about the boy band. That's a timely reference. Here we go.
Nailed it. That's why you come here. Brad Shoemaker, your favorite 90s boy band.
Oh, that's me.
Well, I was going to ask you a question, but also, Brad Shoemaker, your favorite 90s boy band.
All the members of NSYNC in one.
Bye.
Bye.
That's what I got. I had to turn the heat on here this morning.
Oh, my gosh.
It's freezing in this house.
Okay. Positive news here about the basement. The basement. We had our contractor, the guy that I would love to go with. We got to get a new proposal. I think last year we did a meet and greet and talked over some stuff, but we have a start date if the proposal works out, right?
Okay.
And one of the things I said, having worked in this garage, was I would really actually love a heat pump in the a mini split in the basement. I think I mentioned this before. Putting it in there. And he was always like, after we finish insulating the basements and stuff like that, generally find they're pretty cozy. They keep the temperature. They maintain temperature pretty well. It is a basement. And I was like, well, I have a lot of computers running. They generate a lot of heat. What I don't want to wind up in a situation where it's the summer and it's super hot and I'm sweating in the basement working. He's like, okay, I'll put it on the proposal. As he's leaving, we're saying goodbye, and I was like, all right, stay cool out there. He's working. He's a contractor. He's working outside. He's like, actually, I really like this weather. And I was like, that I am never listening to you about mitigating heat in any part of my home. Absolutely, I will put some kind of air conditioning in. He's like, yeah, this reminds me of where I'm from. I like this weather. I'm like, you're the kind of people.
You're the one.
Yeah, like the people. I have a few friends that say the same thing, that I cannot, when they say, I love this weather. I love beaches. I love doing this. Or like, this reminds me of back home. Like, I can't do it. But though today, less humid, I don't mind it as much. Today's that day you feel the heat hitting against you, radiating on you. It's like you walk outside, you feel like you're cooking, versus the humidity where it absorbs you, right? Like where it's just
where it feels like you are being enveloped in sweat.
Yeah. Like Anyway, basement start date. So we are taking. I should mention we're taking some time off in. It's like 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, week after next.
And so the start date should be right after that. So I have that week off to get everything else done out of that basement.
Nice.
And we'll be without laundry machines for a while, because that's where our laundry is. So yeah, I know. So it's a great time for me to go back to that laundromat life.
That's the reason to live in your own domicile, is to have your own lawn. Like, that might be the number one reason. Like, I'm not sure. I go back and forth. There are a lot of reasons I would like to live in a house, but
server rack, laundry.
Yes. 42U rack is that, or the laundry. I'm not sure.
Laundry's pretty big, especially with, I think I've talked about this before, children. When I don't know when this starts, but they still feel like a pair of pants is a new pair of pants every day. Every day is a new pair of pants. Wear that pair of pants, it goes right in the laundry. And at some point when they were little, you're like, all right, look, these pants have like Go-Gurt all over them, or these pants are soiled in some way.
Optimally Go-Gurt.
Yeah, right.
Not other things.
Now, at some point, I feel like I need to be like, to my son, who is 13, be like, look,
you can go a couple days, man.
Yeah, these pants. Look, the last time I washed these jeans. Yeah. How old are you? It's been a while.
There are some people who never wash their jeans. They just put them in the freezer. Have you tried that?
I have not tried that, because as soon as those things thaw out, whatever badness was on those jeans is going to come back to life. So there's a lot of laundry that needs to get done. I got to go find our co-op, it's a coin-op laundry, or I'm sure there's for the 5 weeks, whatever it takes to get it done. There must be services or something, right? Like laundry services that
those exist.
Like pickup. I mean, maybe in suburbs less accessible. Like definitely in the city, I've heard about stuff like that around here.
There's a dry cleaning place,
or you just get a job at one of the fangs, or whatever they're calling the fang category these days, and then they'll just do your laundry for you at the office.
That happens here too. I don't know if you know this, but Nextlander laundry happens at the home office as well.
Oh yeah.
And I'm doing laundry right now as we speak.
Meals happen too.
Yeah,
It's,
I was talking to my live-in IT support yesterday.
yes, they
He's
help
me,
you.
actually.
All your concierge service. You just. It's weird when you come to work. Your toothpaste and stuff. It's all there.
Right, I know. After the power was off for 8 hours, and then the internet didn't work when it came back on, and it's like, well, better call IT and get this sorted.
How did that go? Your power, you lost, or you were in a section of San Francisco that lost power for
it was a tiny section, as
half
in
a day.
like,
Would you say?
as in
fair?
like my street for about 3 blocks, basically. Yeah, power
That's
was
wild.
off. Power was off from like 4:30 a.m. to about 1:30 in the afternoon yesterday.
Scheduled
Randomly? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
but not an emergency though.
No, well, no. I mean, the alert that they sent out said like damaged equipment was the reason.
Oh, okay.
And they had originally said 6 p.m. to get it back on, which was the whole day.
Yeah.
And thankfully, it was about 4 hours and change earlier than that. But I had big plans for playing a lot of Death Stranding yesterday that had to get truncated, unfortunately. But
That's just I'm sorry. It's PSE&G or PG&E.
PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric.
PG&E needed to get you on the chiral network.
That's right. Yes, they had to reestablish the chiral network in my neighborhood.
They just plugged that floating USB stick into the power, and then you suddenly were on the network.
Yeah, don't you just like wave a canister around and some sparkly gold shit flies out of it, and then all the equipment is fixed again, right?
I just imagine a guy in a yellow PG&E reflective yellow thing floating up into the air, and just like going back down and just being very kind of nonplussed and be like, all right, now I gotta go down to Fifth Avenue and do the same thing. Let me get my backpack on. No trucks.
I would love to see some union dudes walking down the street with the little, what do they call it? The odorek, the little articulating robot arm coming up off their shoulder.
What would it be looking for in San Francisco though? That's not ghosts.
You don't want to know.
Oh, okay.
Don't ask.
I mean, some of it's ghosts too.
Okay. Well, I guess we could jump right into it. We're talking about Death Stranding 2. The hot new release from Kojima Productions.
Yes. Yep.
Boy, what a logo build for his Kojima Productions. The Spartan, the mechanical space Spartan
Ludens,
on the moon.
I think the character's name is Ludens, right?
Yes, I think so. They have a big statue of him in the foyer of Kojima Productions.
Yes.
I know this because he photographs every celebrity he captures with it.
That studio logo is the most Kojima thing.
But the
I
build,
love it, honestly.
He's on the moon, planting a flag, and then like a whale kind of appears out of nowhere, leaping through the air behind him. Except the whale is made out of like energy, like digital energy, if that's even a thing. And then it like splashes out into digital noise when it lands on the moon surface and some shit. And then there's just a hard cut to black with the studio logo from
and it's
there,
an
which
X-ray of that dude's head.
And like.
So,
it's
funny story about that. I said to my wife as I was booting it up, being like, you should come check out the beginning of this, and she was like, I was like, you remember Death Stranding? She's like, yeah, it's a super weird game, right? I was like, yeah, let's go. I mean, you might enjoy this. Let's go check it out. It's the one with Norman Reedus and the whole thing. She sits down and that thing starts and she's like, yeah, man, this shit's weird. I was like, oh, this is the logo.
We haven't even gotten to anything yet.
This isn't the game yet. This is his production company's build.
Amazing.
Death Stranding 2. It is officially out. Whoops! I almost knocked over my water. At the time of this recording, tomorrow, I think.
Yeah.
But the early
real release dates. But it's out.
It's out.
Yeah.
Preview the preview. What does PlayStation call it? The preview access, early access.
I don't know if did they have an official name for it?
I don't think they do have an official name for it. I think it literally is just like if you pre-ordered, you get this a few days early or whatever.
Wait. Just pre-ordered?
I think so, but I could be wrong.
Is it not an extra fee to pay it to play it early?
I like this first Super Edition
on the first.
It might be.
The $69.99 version still says pre-order on the store.
Okay,
so it might be their advanced access, whatever it is.
Yes, it was only an extra $10 to play it early. That's what.
That's not so bad.
And that's just the deluxe edition because it also comes with everything else that the machine gun MP early unlock. Anybody?
Mm-hmm.
Battle skeleton gold, boost skeleton gold. It comes with deluxe edition shit is the point. But the point I'm making is it's only an extra $10 and you're getting tchotchkes with it. So like that is by far the most reasonable play this early fee I have ever seen.
It is 2 days early.
Yeah.
Let's
Real
talk
quick
about
here.
it. So
before we get into the nature of Death Stranding 2, I think it's worth doing a quick, vibe check among all of us about how we each individually felt about Death Stranding 1.
Okay.
I really liked it. I also stopped playing it. Is it chapter 3, the one that you can spend like forever in, running around building bridges? And I basically got to somewhere in chapter 4 and realized I was going to lose access to a lot of what I liked about playing that game, and then stopped. But I spent like 30 hours in chapter 3 running around doing stuff and really enjoyed it and really wanted more of that. And this sure seems like more of that.
I really enjoyed it. Even past where you were, Brad. I finished it. I really enjoyed it until the end, where like a lot of my stuff was destroyed by the game.
Yeah, it was hearing about that stuff is what it might have been chapter 5 that I got to, but hearing that it was going to become less of that over time is a big part of what made me put it down.
And it took a real severe turn, and by the time I put it down, I did not have fond memories. But I really enjoyed it leading up to that point. And so, yeah. And then, just vibe check wise, it got a little more combat-y towards the end. And I did not enjoy, not the small combat, the big BT combat.
Yeah. The BT combat, I think for me was the worst part of that game. So I reviewed it. You can see my opinions over on giantbomb.com if you want. I think it was literally the last review I ever put up, was Death Stranding. I gave it a 2 out of 5. I think that the walking parts of that first game are really inventive and interesting, and I loved the big swing of this is a game where you are a fucking Amazon delivery man in the post-apocalyptic wasteland. This is a great concept, and I love the look of the world and the technology and all that stuff. I think the acting ranges from okay to just straight up leaden, and I think the dialogue in that game is largely terrible, and I think a lot of it is way up its own ass in a way that I don't appreciate versus some of the earlier Kojima stuff where I could kind of get behind the ways in which that game was, his earlier games were ridiculous. I think the ridiculousness here did not benefit him in any major, or the studio in any major way. And I think that by the time that story wrapped up, I was fucking done with it.
I remember feeling like it just felt like Kojima with all of the limiters taken off. Like him just unfettered.
Maybe too many of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a little story-wise,
it's a bad story.
I
not told well.
It just doesn't deliver. But Death Stranding 2, and this was a weird thing because Death Stranding 2 has a recap of Death Stranding. And I don't actually, while I think there's just so much going on in Death Stranding. I think while the recap is hits some of the major points, there are things I was like, when are you going to talk about, and maybe this is because it happens in the actual Death Stranding 2, the nature of the BBs, right? Like what, like the real meat and potatoes, like end game stuff of Death Stranding.
Right.
Which it doesn't really go over. Like, I think it still assumes a little much about your knowledge of Death Stranding because they talk about Lou in a way that doesn't really flesh out a lot of what Lou's providence is and kind of
and I read the Wikipedia summary of the first game before I got in there and then watched that recap, and they also barely touch on who Amelie is and what the last Stranding was going to be. You know, that was like the big threat to humanity in the first game, and they kind of don't even explain that at all.
So what they seem to focus on for Norman Reedus's character, Mr. Bridges, is that he took Lou. So at the end of Death Stranding, Lou is the basically unborn or fetal child that is
the ungrowing fetus, the fetus that lives in a tank and detects the BTs, the weird tar demons that are fucking running around, and that's like they are equipment. BBs are equipment in the first game.
Babies.
Yeah, bridge babies.
How does one become a bridge baby? Like what?
It's not good.
They're born to a still mother.
Still mother. Yes, I remember the still mother stuff.
It's not good.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so that's just kind of the stuff that they don't go into necessarily in the recap. But Norman Reedus's character takes that baby, raises Lou, but retreats because, like Alex said, this is property of the UCA, is on the run.
Bridges, the company that is supposed to be uniting the chiral network and all that stuff.
Yeah, he trekked across the Great America and connected it. And basically this game starts off with you being recruited to then expand the network down into Mexico.
Yes.
Let's bring the chiral network, which is basically, I don't know, this is shorthand for power, internet, whatever.
It's the magic internet.
Connectivity down there. And you start off and you're recruited by Fragile, who used to run a delivery company, then worked for Bridges, and now is kind of back to doing some contractor work for the UCA.
Freelance.
Freelance. The Porters, which was
Sam's job.
Sam Bridges, again, Norman Reedus' character, have been mostly replaced by automation and robots.
Interesting.
You heard about this?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incisive commentary.
Have mostly been replaced. We'll see where that goes narratively. But this is a job off the grid, so they need a human. They need a Sam Porter Bridges to go out down there and.
The first game. I'm sorry. Did the first game have dialogue choices? I can't remember.
No,
I don't think
so
it
that's
did.
no,
That's
not really.
new. So did either of you answer no? I will not when Fragile shows up. Because
yes,
I almost did, but I didn't want to I just wanted to get to the meat of the game. I didn't want to derail anything, so I just said sure, I'll take the job. But what is it? Is it just some different dialogue if you say no?
No, it fades to black and then the cutscene starts over.
What?
That's the end. It just basically it implies that that's the end of the journey.
Did you get a trophy?
They should have just rolled credits then if they were going to do that.
I don't remember. Also, there probably are too many credits in that game to do that. But that said, it just literally is like the cutscene starts over and then you can skip right back to the dialogue option again. So there isn't much of a run up.
I don't know if you remember, but in the first game, I think there were 3 credit sequences. So
yes, there was a lot.
There's never too many credit sequences to have.
Okay. Real quick, help me clear this up. I know the first game was 6 years ago?
2019.
End of 2019.
I don't even know if you remember, but isn't there some truth about Sam's identity revealed before the end of the game that I'm forgetting? He was not a BB himself or something, was he?
I mean, spoilers for the game. He's the president's son, right?
Wait, is he also the son of Mads Mikkelsen?
I believe that Sam, if I remember correctly, Sam is somehow Mads Mikkelsen's old BB.
I thought Lou was.
Wait, so was what's Mads Mikkelsen's character's name? Is it Clifford?
Yes, I gotta get this stuff back in my head because
Clifford Unger.
I thought I remembered how this stuff went. It's been long enough that I maybe don't remember all of it, but I do remember there was a big reveal around the provenance of Sam and his tie to the Mads Mikkelsen character.
This is again after having read the 6-paragraph summary of the first game on Wikipedia. I still don't understand large swaths of the plot, but was Clifford a porter? And so he had you only have a BB if you're a porter, right?
No, because
you need a BB to see the BTs, is that correct? I guarantee we have run this exact exercise on Giant Bomb podcast 6 years ago. I apologize.
So basically the memories that that Sam has been getting whenever he connects to Lou are actually his own. He is Clifford's son, who Bridget Strand, the president of the UCA, the president of Jack Shit, as you recall, transformed him into one of the first BBs, accidentally killed alongside Clifford during a botched escape attempt, and resurrected by Amelie. So basically, he was a BB, and then somehow he wasn't a BB. He grew up, became the sort of adopted son of Bridget Strand.
I see.
And has this forever tie to the fucking Black Ops Wraith Ghost that Mads Mikkelsen plays throughout the game.
Okay, so he's Mads' biological child, but the president's adopted child. Is that correct?
Basically,
and he was a BB. Okay,
there are probably some subtle details in there I'm getting wrong, but that is the broad stroke of it.
Okay, so there is precedent for a BB being kind of freed and raised as an actual child then?
It's wildly uncommon, but yes.
Which is what's happening with Lou at the beginning of this game.
God, I forgot all about that.
Because it's not actually interesting. The thing we are talking about is a big reveal, but also it doesn't really hit at all from what I recall.
And there's also, look, I'm not doing spoiler stuff here because this is pretty relevant to this game. For the Death Stranding 1.
It's been 6 years. The statute of limitations is over.
Didn't Amelie, or didn't are they one and the same? The daughter is the mom, and then didn't she didn't she give humanity dooms or whatever because they need to survive the extinction?
Only some people have dooms.
Yeah, not everyone has
dooms. Didn't she introduce it?
Maybe. That might be right.
Here's the thing that makes the whole thing confusing with Amelie and the president is that they're both played by Lindsay Wagner from different eras. Like I think
is it
the
one
voice,
the ha and one's the ka?
Kind of, yeah. But like, so the mom is actually voiced by Lindsay Wagner now. I think Amelie is voiced by a different person because it's supposed to be like a younger looking version of Bridget Strand, but it's actually just the version of Hideo, like that Hideo Kojima remembers from the fucking Bionic Woman. Because that's why he cast her in the first place, because he had a huge crush on Lindsay Wagner in the 70s. Yeah. Anyway, all that stuff, it's kind of a weird swirl and a mess. It doesn't all cohere for me. I did like the last scene, which is like Sam and the BB sort of like going off into the sunset together at the end of the game. Like, I think they actually do hit a pretty good emotional note with that. But all the plot explanation, all the leaden fucking dialogue, like all that stuff.
Princess and Mario stuff.
The fucking Princess Beach bullshit, like all that stuff is just it wasn't good then, and I'm walking into this game very much skeptical of how it will be dealt with in this one.
Yeah, I kind of same. Like I'm just going to take all the story stuff in this as it is. I'm here for the porting.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am here to walk.
And they let you do that pretty early on.
Dude, I like died laughing when they first give you control of this game because you're out there in the wilderness, you're wearing Lou, who is now like an 18-month-old infant, as if she was still a BB, like wearing her on, what do you call the little, it's not like a baby Bjorn or whatever.
It's like a baby carrier.
Yeah, it's a carrier.
But you're kind of still wearing her in the same spot as you would be wearing a BB who is encased in like protective, like.
Right. You're just not in the jar anymore.
But they task you with getting home, and they start you at the top of the least hospitable terrain I think I have ever seen.
It's pretty incredible.
It's just like a bunch of insanely jagged, like very narrow, rocky ridges. You have to. I just love the idea that they're like, all right, get home on this insanely terrible mountain to walk on, because this dude is the best at walking that ever lived.
Yeah.
This dude is a champion walker, and he is just going to walk over this jagged ass terrain without a problem.
You do meet somebody later on, one of the little things. I think I forget what he's like, the legend. He's referring to the legendary walker or the one who walked or something like that.
I think the first time you go to one of the facilities and you meet the guy who's the first, like running the first facility in Mexico, he's like, "Oh, you are a legend."
Yeah. So it's funny. I got a little lost at that part. And
it's not a straight line. Like it is you can find some different ways to your house if you want to.
But I think the thing that is interesting about Death Stranding and this is Metal Gear as well. Like there are funny bits in there. There's like fun. It
gets a little goofy in places.
It definitely gets goofy. The thing is like sometimes the jokes are jokes that are like, that's funny. Oh, but now I have to play it. Is that funnier that I have to play it, or is it funnier that you just did the right? It's like, I think it is. It's one of those things where
one thing I agree with Kojima about is that it is funnier when you have to play the joke.
Yeah, right. It's one of those things where like, oh, it's funny, and then it's not funny, but then it's really funny. It's like when those things. So you start off that game pretty quickly. You're back on your feet with a backpack, and you're just porting. And
I'm kind of shocked how fast I was going to say how fast they dump you into the porting, but that's not true because there is a good 20 to 30 minutes of off and on cutscenes before you're really turned loose. But like, not a lot happens in there. I'm kind of shocked for the reputation the first game has as being full of nonsense. Like, it's very standard, like, get the baby home, feed the baby. Here's some of Sam's home life with Lou. Fragile shows up, but she has like absolutely nothing interesting to say at all other than like, hey, we need to expand the network into Mexico. Will you take the job? And then now I'm going to sit here and describe 10 minutes of gameplay mechanics to you. Like, I cannot believe that they gave an actor of Léa Seydoux's prestige caliber all of the tutorial dialogue, like voiceover.
She sounds every bit as bored as you think like
it's
a
amazing.
Fairly talented actress would be reading this fucking leaden shit.
Like, I feel bad for her, but it's also amazing to hear this extremely well-regarded actor telling you about like going through the menus and like opening the map and stuff.
Like, I remember Fragile and also Mama, the Margaret Qualley character in the last game, having some of the absolute dog shit worst dialogue in that game, and those actresses struggling, both good actresses struggling to make those dialogue bits interesting. Like, honestly, I think Mads Mikkelsen is the only actor in that game who fully understood the ridiculousness of what he was being asked to do and leaned all the way into it. And Tommy Lee Jenkins too, the guy who plays Die Hard Man, he's pretty good as well. But like it's picking up right where it left off as far as that shit is concerned. Because Fragile, the second she starts talking, I don't think Lea Seydoux is actually bored, but it sure feels like it.
I mean, her character is so disaffected, right?
Like, and whispery,
yeah. That's kind of.
But then when she's explaining to you Dooms and fucking Odorex and all this other shit, it's so dry. Like there's just nothing there.
It's I think that I was surprised that it gets moving though, like like relatively quickly. The setup is basically just like
one last job.
Yeah, or like this one will get your records cleared. It's what is the Armageddon setup? Like, hey,
you don't have to pay taxes anymore.
Yeah, if you do this, then like we won't come after you anymore. That's the deal. Just hook up Mexico.
Yeah,
and so you have to head down there. You got your new Cupid, same as the old Cupid, basically the thing that
literally
hooks
the
up
same
the chiral network. But instead of handcuffs, you have a thumb ring now.
To be clear, we just got access to the game this week, so we're not super far in yet. I believe. I mean, I'm not out of Mexico yet, but I believe the bulk of the game takes place outside of Mexico. I think that's kind of the starting area. Although I might have gotten out of it by now if I weren't just going around doing every lost cargo that I find.
gosh.
Like
I've been doing a lot of that as well.
I think I did this in the first game too. Like I'm making the mistake of like going back, and I don't think I'm going to necessarily try to 5-star every location, but I have definitely doubled back and done side missions on those first locations in a way that I probably shouldn't have.
You can't be blamed though, because again, that is the most interesting part of Death Stranding, and I still think, I mean, again, I haven't plumbed the full depths of this game yet, but in the early encounters that I've done, walking from place to place, navigating your route, and finding cargo and just sort of doing these deliveries is 100% the reason to play this game.
It's that optimization thing that I talked about a few weeks ago. I can't remember what game I was thinking about, but like other games, this emerges sort of organically, in an open world situation where it's like, how many different things can I pick up between A and B, or like, what's the most efficient route I can plot to do all these side missions in the fewest hops? Like this game makes all of that like text, gameplay text. You know what I mean? Like that is the game in this. In fact, like is the drawing your own route thing new? I can't remember. I think it is.
You could plot stuff on your route
do
before.
That in the first. I don't remember. I feel like they've added to that. Like
I think they've made it a little more dynamic this time.
They show the hazards and stuff now.
Maybe it's the hazard icons that are new there, because you're literally like drawing your own route for each mission. Like creating your own hops from objective to objective. And they show you like, this is a deep river crossing that you might not be able to get across here. Or like this is where the bandits are. These are flood zones where if it starts raining, the water level is going to rise.
Here's your distance. Like that's
right.
I should also preface. I don't know if you guys played it. I did not play the director's cut. They added the extended cut. That
no, I didn't really. I booted that up at one point and messed around with it a little bit, but I didn't do much.
I think you might be right. I think some of that stuff might be from there, or
I'm not sure, but
I think they did expand on the mechanics in that.
So this is now what you're talking about is folded up into your mission prep. It's not just like you open a map screen. It's like, hey, you're going on this thing. Route your course.
Plan your route. Figure out what equipment you're going to need. Where do you need to put a ladder down? Where do you need to put a climbing anchor down? That kind of shit.
It's kind of fun. I dig that.
No, I think that stuff is cool.
I'll just say other quality of life stuff that I think is awesome. That I've noticed, and again, I'm sorry if some of this was in a different edition or misremembering. You mentioned the dialogue options, Brad. Now when you deliver something, you don't have to sit through 15 minutes of somebody's whole backstory if you don't want to. I do click through all the dialogue options. I do also
click it, yes, but you have the option.
Previously, you had to sit through and be like, oh my, okay, let's just, now you could just be like, I'm done, here's your delivery, and move on if you want.
Yep.
A pistol holster is
new?
I think that's new.
Okay. All right.
I don't think you had a sidearm holster that you can just have this secondary weapon at the ready.
I think you could hook them onto your backpack before, but it was not the holster.
There's some. I love quality of life. I would like in another life, I would be some kind of quality of life designer, as I've said. Like this, there's their project progress bar in conversations. Like when you're going through dialogue options with people, if you pause it in the middle of the dialogue stuff, you can see how much of the dialogue you've got.
I didn't even notice that.
This is the biggest one, and I'm sure some other game may have done this in the past, but I can't remember ever seeing it. you don't break sprint by easing off of the left stick.
Oh,
like, there's a kind of grace period of momentum where if you kind of, and I'm a habitual, I don't know about you, okay, when you guys sprint on a left stick, do you break sprint by clicking the stick in again while running or by letting off the stick?
Click in.
Really?
I usually go by letting off.
It depends. It depends. Like it's hard for me to think of. Like when I think about it academically in my brain, I am thinking I click off, but if I'm just changing direction, I might not. You know,
okay. I am a habitual ease offer when I should be a clicker. Like I always tell myself that's a more efficient way to stop the sprint if you want to stop sprinting without breaking your stride. You know, in this game actually, I don't know. This is somewhat technical, but like you get that little grace period where if you want to kind of ease off for just a second, and that matters in this game because like. You damage your cargo if you take one wrong step and trip over or whatever, right? Like you get, it's much more flexible about keeping your sprint going and kind of giving you a little extra control to like feather the movement without having to start a whole new sprint from stop again. Like
right. You could like slow down in a sprint.
Right.
It's not binary.
And then pick it back up without having to like come to a walk and then start running again. Like it feels really good.
I'll say one of the biggest things, and I don't know if this made it into the other editions of the game. I could see it there, but it was kind of new for me, is the whole cargo shortcut inventory thing of like auto arrange cargo.
Yes.
Is like, and you can take the backpack off.
Yeah, you could auto arrange in the first one, but I think you had to go deep into the menus. Now there's just that quick, if you hold up on the D-pad, there's just that quick, that radial select where you can just do it there.
And take your backpack off if you're going to get into combat or something.
Yep.
Does the whole thing come off as a backpack? You don't have to like pick everything back up and rearrange?
No. He just sets the whole pack down.
Like,
as long as it's on the pack, it will stay in there.
Okay.
Yeah. So those things are awesome. I have found the quality of life stuff to be pretty suited to what that game needed. At least, again, I have not played any of the other iterations of the game, just the original, which it's funny too, because the first couple of missions, when they introduce the route planner and you're on your first on foot porting, it makes it sound like you should avoid hostilities, right? And I did at first until I was walking by and I was like, those MFers have a car in there.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like I'm not going to avoid these guys. And really the early combat is so easy. Like
it still sucks though.
So
I don't mind the human combat as much.
I think I would go to I would draw a distinction there. I think the stealth is quite difficult. The combat once you get spotted is pretty easy. Like
the stealth is not forgiving.
Like and in fact, all your guns are non-lethal. Like that's part of the fiction is like, you don't want to kill people and cause a void out with corpses lying around. So all your guns shoot rubber bullets and stuff. But like headshots with that rubber bullet assault rifle pretty much will knock somebody out instantly.
Yeah, the taser is pretty useful. But even punching, because I don't think this was in it before. You have that jump kick now. You have a jump knee that breaks guard.
My understanding was that close quarters combat was one of the things they were trying to do more with in this one, and it does feel a little bit more dynamic in terms of what you can do hand to hand, but I still don't think it's very good. I mean, again, I've only had a couple of combat encounters with like the bandits or whatever the fuck those things are called, but like I snuck up. I did manage to do stealth through the first area before you get to that giant sandstorm. And I tied up one of the guys. Like, it's one of
the first area, the first area, like the parking lot at the bridge or whatever.
So I managed to get around that. I only had to take one guy down. You do the thing in every stealth game where you creep up to the guy. Is it going to be a quick square prompt or is there something more involved? It's circle, and the circle prompt will tie that guy up.
Well, you have to have your rope equipped for that, right?
You have to have it handy, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I was thinking about the second camp in the mission after that.
That one I could not successfully avoid.
That one I could not. I tried 2 or 3 times and just could not get through there without getting spotted.
Is that the nighttime one?
The time of day just depends on when you slept at your room last. You can just go. You can go sleep again if you want it to be morning instead.
Yeah, I did that in the medical facility. But so that one I actually managed to successfully get around the camp, but then they had a patrol that saw me on my way out of there.
Yeah, I was trying to go through the camp because there's a bunch of stuff in there to loot, but like it just feels like the sight lines on the enemies are very long. Like they can spot you really easily.
Yeah, but then you can fuck them up pretty easily.
Once they spot you, they all just run at. I mean, it probably gets harder later, but so far they all just kind of run at you. I mean, they occasionally throw their electrical javelins at you, but
they're pretty easy to avoid.
They mostly just run at you. Yeah, and you just shoot them as they come, and it's fine. But
or like I punched them as they kind of like pile up. The only problem with the combat I really am having so far is locking onto, like facing the wrong way during a melee thing. Like
I've had that happen a few times.
I mean, like you were saying, Brad, the momentum in Sam's walking and stuff can be weird. Where sometimes you're like, I'm like, well, just a step too close or far away from this guy. But I found it fairly forgiving. But my main point is car. Get in that, load up that car, start driving that car, and get out of there.
Of course, you get in there and they're immediately like, abandoned cars have way more limited batteries. You're not going to go very far in this. And sure enough, it didn't even get me to the next base.
Oh, okay. I made it. So I did the thing you were talking about, Brad. Is like I went to the base, went back outside. This is early on in the game. Went to the base, went back outside, scanned. I was like, oh my god. There's a package there that has to go back to the first base.
Yep. And I did all that shit.
I'm just going to go back to the first base. All right. I'm just going to
you can just drop those in the post boxes, right?
For somebody else to deliver.
You need a player to deliver those.
Yeah, right? I'm here doing the work, man.
I ain't entrusting shit.
I got to get those stars up. I got to build up my
You still get a little bit of credit for doing that.
I wish they were more upfront about what the penalty is. There a penalty? Like, you don't get the full likes if you
don't get the full likes, but
yourself?
You do get something for it.
But you know, early on, there's getting the stars feels pretty important. Like you're getting better upgrades for your weapons. You're getting better boots. You're getting
better equipment.
Are the gear unlocks tied to each location? And I guess same question for like the private storage and a bunch of stuff. I don't remember how that worked, and I don't remember what they said here. If like can you only get, for example, I just unlocked a rubber bullet pistol, I think, at the second location, I think it was, or maybe the first. Can I only get it at that location?
You mean
like
unlock it there?
Yeah, is it unique gear at each location that you unlock, or is it just global? Like the next time you rank up,
I haven't done enough to know for sure. Is
it just like the next time you hit 3 stars at a location, you'll get the next item on the track?
Some of it seems thematically appropriate to the place, so I think it might be a mix of stuff. Like I've gotten better boots from a guy who's like, I'm like a prepper, right? Like this, because they have unique dialogue. They're like, "Hey, I've been working on this boot design," but maybe that changes later on as you. There's only like 5 stars, so maybe it is unique for certain things.
Could be.
Like I got the upgraded cattle prod or whatever it is, and it was unique dialogue for it, right? From that person who was at that bunker.
Oh, you're right. Actually, maybe it is tied to locations then, because they do have voiceover for it.
So yeah, I some of that stuff feels like, oh man, early on, this is going to make a bigger difference than later on, right? Like early on, I have nothing here, right? Like I need better boots. I need this stuff. But I have found it to be enjoyable. I have found it to be pretty good. They kind of back off a lot of the nonsense story stuff.
Well, okay. I'll tell you what I know, just from having talked to people who have finished this game and seeing some early reviews, is that the nonsense is there waiting for you. It will be along presently.
I want more nonsense. I was almost going to say,
I don't know if it's good nonsense, but there is nonsense waiting for you, because at the beginning, they only kind of address like, hey, Dead Man's out there and he wants to see you in Mexico, and like, Heartman somewhere out there doing his job, and Amelie has been kind of on some sort of quest, and also Die Hard Man is no longer president. We'll get back to that later.
Yeah.
So they mention all the people you know.
Yeah. Also, there's we know that there's a fake Solid Snake out there, or whatever that stuff is about. Like the trailers have shown a lot of weird shit.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple of things. Like there's that stuff, which I have to imagine some of that stuff is very tied to Mexico, because I believe that character, the one who is the smuggler, is supposed to be crossing the U.S.-Mexican border on a regular basis. Like that's like the hook for that character, is that he is smuggling still mothers across the border into America at one point. So I think that storyline is tied to Mexico, though it might just be mostly cutscenes. I don't know. I haven't run into him yet. There's also the stuff with fucking Elle Fanning and George Miller. Like none of that stuff has come up at all yet. And that puppet guy is just waiting for you.
Oh, yeah.
That fucking 15 frames a second puppet is out there.
So I'm up to, I finished Act 1. I just started Act 2. It seems like basically the first real setup for what's going on. Because in Act 1, your mission is just do this job in Mexico. Things are going to
it's not all it seems, 100%.
So I'm starting Act 2. I will say by the end of Act 1, which I think you guys are also very close to
I'm on
finishing,
the cusp.
I at some point, having played, and Alex, maybe you feel this way too, a lot of Death Stranding, you're walking around's fine. When do I get my motorcycle? When do I get it? When do I
start building infrastructure?
When's my trek? And that happens not too much longer.
Yeah.
Right. Good.
I need to get a move on. I assume you can come back to the first area and
I don't know,
do more stuff later.
I
would hope.
Maybe. I don't know. That timefall rain it comes for us all, man.
Yep.
I assume you will be bebopping around some of the various territories depending on what the story calls for. Here's the last thing I'll say though, and this is like my most uniformly positive thing I'm going to say about my time with Death Stranding 2 so far. It is fucking gorgeous.
Yeah, it's really
top
good.
to bottom.
There are parts of that intro there's no FMV in that intro, right? Because some of those,
I thought there was. I don't think there is.
Some of those just kind of helicopter shots of landscapes in the beginning of that game, I genuinely thought were full motion video. Like I could not believe how good those environments looked.
So it's Guerrilla's tech, right?
Yeah,
like they're using the Guerrilla engine tech.
It is the Decima engine, which was used in the Horizon games.
It shows.
Did you see the story that was going around that some Nintendo
motion capture studio,
Nintendo
one of the motion capture
proper
studios,
stuff, not like just Nintendo games. Like Nintendo's got all its stuff now. Yeah, it was used in there as well. Takes a village.
Yep.
But also, I don't remember this from the first one. Did you guys go out of bounds at all? They're like, you're leaving the delivery area.
I never made it that far out.
The screen starts shrinking down. Like
Okay.
as big as those landscapes are, or they look, and they do look gorgeous and wide, you do go out of bounds. And it's
there is a boundary, 100%.
Helldiver, get back to the fight.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's cool.
There's one thing though, and it's not like a negative, but it's just interesting to me. And maybe I'm the only one seizing on this. Maybe I'm thinking about this too much, but between the dust storms that you run into at one point when you're walking through the first bits of Mexico, which are pretty intense, and some of the skybox stuff they are doing, like when it's sun up in the desert and shit. I think Kojima played the Mad Max game from 2013.
You're getting vibes?
I'm getting vibes. Or 2015, yeah, that one. Because, granted, George Miller also in this video game. They made Higgs look like the fucking Doof Warrior, and like in some of the cutscenes that they have shown.
Sure.
I think there's some very specific Mad Max tribute stuff happening in this particular video game.
All right.
I'll add also just kind of in the landscape stuff. You guys have probably run across it. Again, this is mostly Act 1 a business, or at least I can only speak to Act 1. I haven't gotten far into Act 2. There are non-humanoid like native creatures around, like little spiders.
I haven't seen the spider. I've seen the spiders referenced, but have not seen them personally. But those tiny little like blob creatures that swarm you, or what the fuck is that about?
I don't know. It's kind of messed up, right?
They look cool.
I think they come from the tar goo.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know what they are supposed to be manifestations of specifically, but they also seem relatively easy to get away from. Like,
you can run. I need a way to eradicate them though, because they swarm.
I tried shooting some of the spiders, but they seem to really come.
Yeah,
and I think they don't go hostile. At least they didn't seem to go hostile until I shot one. So maybe if you just
run away, they will stop chasing you.
One had a package on it. It was like moving on the thing. So
that's funny.
The spiders or the little blob
spiders.
Things? The blob things too. I found like, because they're just like a moving carpet of these little blob and like a ladder was sort of surfing on top of the wave of those little creatures. I thought that was pretty funny.
Some of the stuff so far early on seems the quality of life stuff is the biggest thing for me. Even turning stuff in seems faster. I think previously you had to select each delivery and go through it, and here you just bulk. Like,
it just goes.
Here's all my stuff, man.
It really feels very playable. Like, I think I've probably shot more guns already in 4 hours of this game than I did in the entirety of my time with the first one.
And I have my misgivings about that. Again, I don't think the combat is the strength of this project. It wasn't in the last game, and while they have made some changes here, I've also heard the BT combat is not good.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. I hated the boss fights in the first game.
I did one big BT encounter, and I did not like it.
Yeah. It's never good. It was never good in the last game, and I'm not surprised that they haven't made it much better here.
Like, I think they're maybe it felt a little faster, but I still felt like, literally I'm running through goo, right? And you're like kind of just not in as much control as you'd like. But the bandit encounters and combat is, I feel like this game had a very, I don't know what its message is about combat, right? Like Death Stranding 1's thing is like, hey, you can't kill people, right? So like, because that's bad. Whatever it is, I don't know. This game does seem like it is like, hey, there's going to be some combat, especially in the bandit encounters. Let's amp it up a little bit. Let's Metal Gear this a little bit.
I think I said it in my review, but it felt like the combat in the last game was very much a capitulation to the idea that a Hideo Kojima game must have combat. Like, that's one of the things that has been his specialty over the course of his career. And at some point, they're just like, well, it can't just be a walking simulator, right? Like, you have to fight somebody. Yeah. And the problem is, I don't think they ever found a good reason for that other than it has to be there, you know? Yeah. And I kind of wish they had leaned harder in the other direction with this.
I think the reason for me is kind of like Vinny said, is taking their shit. Like so far, there has been a lot of stuff to get out of those camps, and that's what makes me want to go in there, because like at the end of the day, that's again what I'm here for, is min-maxing my cargo carrying. Sure. Like I think part of the reason, frankly, that the combat has been harder for me is that I keep forgetting to take the backpack off, and I am redlining everything in this game constantly. It is like hubris is
your middle name
problem in these games. Is like I'm generally like 5 weight units. Is it kilograms? I don't remember how they measure weight in this, but it's like I believe
I'm like 5 kilograms.
I'm generally like 5 under my weight limit at all times.
Oh yeah,
so like
I'm swaying at times in this.
So like trying to do combat with that much shit on your back is pretty rough.
Oh no, you got to take that thing off.
Yeah, you got to take the backpack off before you go nuts.
Or throw it in a truck.
Then you got to go back for it though.
Yeah, I mean, basically, at some point, are you just running? I assume you're just running with both triggers held down the entire time.
I actually, is there a downside to that? I don't do that because I assume you're giving something up by balancing. Like
I always assume it's more stamina. Yeah, it's slower and maybe more stamina drain.
So this game, there's a codex in this. They call it the corpus.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The thing is good for story stuff. It is not so great for mechanics.
No,
it's like 8,000 mechanics in there.
I've been trying to dig in there to remember what the difference is between stamina and blood. And
I think that's just health. And
blood is health.
Is blood just health?
Yeah, blood is just health.
Stamina's got a weird mechanic to it.
It's the canteen and the other stuff, like the stuff that used to be Monster Energy drink, but apparently they lost that license in the last 6 years. So now it is chiral tea.
Yeah. So you because it seems like you lose stamina permanently until you do something to get it back. It's not like it just recharges to your full bar, right?
Yeah. It's almost like a Souls game where like you start to lose. You can't go all the way back up on your health, you know. But it's stamina.
Right. And then the crypto biotes are just to get health back. Is that right? But then there's also blood bags, so those both just do the same thing, right?
More or less.
Canteen is mostly canteen and sitting to rest will get your stamina back up, I believe, before the hashed out parts, you know, that start fully taking off.
I see.
And then you need to do like a full rest or something else. I don't know what else to get it back up. But you can over stamina, like Alex was saying, by drinking the chiral or the tea. You can get 120% or something like that.
Also, what is this business about like every 1,000 extra chiral crystals you're carrying around like makes your backpack lighter? But they don't quite
floating, baby.
They don't really go into detail about like what that means mechanically.
I don't remember that from the first one, but
that's new. I don't think the chiral crystals did that last time. You did collect them in the last game, but I forget what it was even for.
I think that is new, and they give you a tooltip about it, but then it's not in the codex, the corpus, or whatever. Like,
I think a lot of it's for crafting.
Do you just want to carry as many chiral crystals as humanly possible at all times? From the sound of it.
I mean, look, carrying them around is useful for crafting out in the field.
Yeah, I mean specifically that kind of vague language about like your stamina load will be slightly less the more chiral crystals you have. But
there's a lot in that corpus to the point where I was like, oh my God, look at all this is I was explaining this game to my kids who sat down to watch just the walking.
Yeah.
And my daughter was like, she's like, is I'm like, oh, you know, my son's asking the question. My daughter's sitting there going, and then at some point she's like, well, they really spent a lot of time adding things in for just walking around, huh? And I was like, yeah, that's kind of this whole game.
It's kind of the whole thing.
Because I was like, she was like, oh, do you need to hold both triggers to hold onto your backpack? I was like, I do. I'm not sure. She's like, what happens if you don't? I was like, well, you start to lean to one side, and then there's like a little mini game to kind of right the ship. And she's like, oh, if you hit a rock, do you stumble? I was like, yeah, you kind of stumble, but then you can catch your balance. I thought, or I wish that I thought and wished that there was some benefit, like you were saying, Brad, to not holding down the triggers the whole time. I don't think this is true, but succeeding in that mini game to give you a little boost of stamina or something, right? To be like, lean left, lean right, hit triangle to readjust would give you like some other little boost or something, but I don't think it does. So I just hold both of those triggers down, especially when the backpack is like Empire State Building height.
I do the lean. Like I just do
the
left, right lean because maybe you are a little faster when you're not. Both.
I do think you are.
I think you are too.
I think it's funny that you can't hide in tall grass if your cargo stack is too tall.
Like that's just good. That's just good game design.
Have you done the thing where you walk through a door and half your stack gets knocked off because the door is too low?
That's pretty funny.
It's dumb. It's silly and dumb. I think the quality of life stuff is making this more enjoyable, especially if you put a lot of hours into Death Stranding 1, which is a little bit of my very first soul feeling was, oh, right, I'm just walking here. I've lost all my cars, the ability to make bridges, roads, the zip lines. Like, oh my gosh, we're just going on foot.
But I mean that, the overcoming the friction of walking around on foot, finding routes and stuff, like kind of is the joy of the game. Like sure enough, I was like 5 under my weight limit trying to get to a base, and I was like right up on a sheer cliff and had nowhere to go. And then what do you know? There's somebody's climbing gear that another player had put down, and I ran up and liked it.
Yes,
and then climbed down. And like that stuff is not even remotely as novel and goofy as it was in 2019, but it's still pretty satisfying to engage with those mechanics.
I think my favorite part was the Caravella delivery service, where it was like a truck full of stuff building the roads. The walking stuff is fine. And
the chapter 3 stuff. Chapter 3 stuff.
Yeah.
That stuff is fun too, and that is the eventual goal. But like, at least for me, like I need the obstacles early on for that stuff to be meaningful.
No, you're right. That's game design. Yeah.
I still think the walking around and the navigating the spaces is still the most singular success of that first game, and I think it's still fun and cool here.
I think it's part of. It's probably capturing some of the same feel that I had in Red Dead Redemption 2. How much I enjoyed engaging with those landscapes as well.
Sure.
It's just like being in a really, really beautiful naturalistic environment and finding ways to get around in it.
And it is beautiful.
And I'll say this too: if you haven't played it or are just playing it, there's stuff in here that sounds like an E3 tech demo bullet point that I would probably have ignored, but is cool, like when it was raining and there were rivers rolling down, and then the next day it was not, and I walked back and you could walk through the riverbeds that were there. I was like, that's actually really cool.
Yes. Like this game feels next generation to me.
Yeah,
like
and it's like one of those bullet points that I would ignore at a demo and be like, okay, whatever, sure.
Like this feels like a proper PS5 game, like visually, those environmental and weather stuff that they're doing for sure. Honestly, PS5 Pro feels like pretty valuable here.
It's a considerable difference, I would say, looking between the two versions.
Yeah, like I went and looked up the Digital Foundry write-up real quick, and they basically said like there's no reason not to play this on performance on Pro because the modes are so close, there's basically no visual difference.
Okay.
And it runs real smooth. I think it's a 60 FPS mode, but it runs at 120 hertz, so it looks even smoother.
Okay.
Because it's outputting every frame twice or whatever it's doing. Like it just, also the HDR, like, yes, I'm still like fairly new in having a modern TV, but it's really good HDR in this game.
Oh yeah.
Like you roll up on that first base, if you roll up on it at night and you see like those like the windows and the lights in the distance, like it looks good as hell.
There's a lot of bright blue lights from stuff.
There's a lot of like cyber looking. I mean, like the Yoji Shinkawa, like Metal Gear looking mechanical design stuff in this is strong.
Yeah.
Like there's just a lot of good lighting and everything.
I'm enjoying my time with it now. I think I just have a little trepidation from my experience with Death Stranding 1.
Same.
So I'm very curious to see where it goes, but I am enjoying it now.
Again,
it's moving at a pace that I am enjoying.
The first half of Death Stranding 1 almost won me over. Like everything from up to about the end of chapter 3, I was like kind of on board with it, as weird as it was, and like how much I even still dislike the combat. Like I was still kind of willing to go with it. The nonsense just takes over at a certain point in that game, and it's too much, and it's not good enough to justify the amount of time spent on it.
The bad nonsense. And so I'm a little worried that this game will follow a similar structure where I'm really enjoying like the mechanics of this thing and just doing the deliveries free of the nonsense fucking narrative, but at some point that stuff is going to take over. There are a bunch of celebrities he still needs to jam into my eye sockets at some point. So I assume those characters will be some flavor of important.
I just hope you don't lose your grasp on the fun parts of the game. Like,
Same.
I'm happy to watch whatever bullshit he puts in the cutscenes, as long as they aren't like taking away major mechanics from the porting.
Yeah,
as they go.
I would go. I'll go one step further on the taking away stuff. I think my biggest thing was like when I spent so much time building all that infrastructure, and then at some point it was like all that is gone because of the time has destroyed.
Got it.
And I was like, man, it's like I built the empire.
Look, man,
but
it's just a metaphor for human connection, man.
Yeah.
It has to be maintained. It takes work.
And I get it. And like this is also inherently a built-in online multiplayer game in the background, which that stuff is super fun. I love coming up against somebody else's bridge and jamming likes on it or ladders and being like, dude, this is a great ladder. I don't know if this is a developer ladder or you're a fake user or what, but this is a great place. And I love when I get likes on a ladder and I'm like, my ladder's in a great spot too. This is a great ladder. So like my ladder, by the way. But that stuff is neat and cool. And I guess making sure it dissolves over time is part of the mechanic. But man, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
What's the best thing you guys built? Yeah.
I haven't built anything that elaborate yet. Mostly it's just been like, ladders over river crossings. I've built a couple of like climbing anchors and stuff.
I did a double ladder. You can combine two ladders into one ladder.
For a long one. Yeah. Like when I had the high river thing going, which was, everyone gets, I definitely I brought a few extra ladders just in case. And I did a combined ladder over the river.
Mega ladder. That I'm hoping that's a real winner. I'm hoping that I put a couple of recharge stations once you get the trike out that I thought were pretty good as well. I wonder if this has I played Death Stranding 2 or Death Stranding 1 not too long after release, but I don't think I played it at release all the way because that was like a November release, I think. And I think that was a little late in the year for putting a bunch of time in. I do wonder if this is one of those games that benefits from everybody playing at the same time, or if it doesn't matter because it's gated for how much, whatever shard you're on for how many people.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's limited, right? Like, they're not going to put everyone's ladders into your world. It is a selection of ladders.
Do you guys do the dumb thing with tap the trackpad or whatever, and you're like, hello, my name is Sam.
I do that.
I'm Sam too, from wherever off in the
I've
beach.
not heard that.
The Ether Beach, whatever it is. I like that goofy stuff. That's the fun stuff I like. So pretty positive on it for now. I'm going to play a bunch more of it. I have no idea how many hours this thing will take because it feels like you could play an indefinite amount of hours or you could just make your deliveries and move on. I don't know.
One review I read said they saw credits in 33 hours. I think that's short.
Jeez.
I think that's on the short end. Compared to like other reviews I saw that said they put it like 80 hours or more in, but I think you can get through the story pretty quick if you want.
I'm really trying.
That's not why I'm here.
Yeah, I'm really trying though to limit my obsessive tendencies of doing everything I see on the map because again, it keeps auto-generating new cargo, new things to find on the map. So it's like at a certain point you just have to say, this will never stop. So I will never be satisfied. At some point I have to move on.
I just want to 5-star the people.
Yeah, that's fine. I think up to that point is fine.
Yeah, I think once you 5-star, that's kind of it, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything else progression-wise to do per location.
I mean, you can get again. I don't know. I'm only very early on, but you get a lot of player stuff, like picking up other players' deliveries or donations to other players or other things like that. I started blowing by some of those other things that are like can't help everyone, man.
Yeah. Like, once you're not getting rewards anymore, what's the point?
I think this was in the first game, and I just want to shout it out because I really appreciate it. It's a trike thing. You can still pick up packages and collect the shards while you're on the trike as you're rolling over them. You just hit that triangle button as you're driving the trike, and it'll pick up. You don't have to stop the car, and boy, do I appreciate that.
Got to get out of the bandit truck, though.
Do you? I didn't roll over anything in the bandit truck. Bummer. Bandit trucks, that seat's pretty weird.
Yeah, last thing real quick. Did the first game have a use-based skill system? Because this sure does, and boy, do I love that. Like, it's literally...
you just leveled up all across the board.
This is, and this is like, it's like 5 or 6 different traversal skills, and then like a bunch of weapon skills that I don't have all of yet, but it's like...
The thing that says like Sam leveled up these things, that is new.
It's like, God, God, I wish I had it in front of me. It's like climbing, traversal, balance. I think I'm kind of making these up.
Stamina, bravery,
like sprinting, like KO resistance. But it's like it's full on the Oblivion thing. You're not going to run around jumping everywhere in this to rank up your athletics. But I love skill systems that rank up dynamically through use. Like it's just a really fun way to level for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the first one may have just been like blanket level up stuff. Yeah, that stuff's interesting. I think that's cool as well. And I like seeing the ratings when you get your delivery and be like, yeah, no, you really did not do a lot of combat. I was like, no, I didn't, because I'm not a murderer.
Yeah.
Also, you can turn your hat backwards.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Yep.
It is possible.
It is possible. Yep. You go into the customize. Did you put a hat on?
Yes.
Yeah,
I have the hat on.
It gives you a stamina buff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can turn your hat backwards, that's dumb and fun. Death Stranding 2, we'll probably hear plenty more about that, but at a different time. We'll see. Like I said, I think I'm opening up Act 2 now. It seems like Act 1, a lot of prologue and almost tutorializing you with the systems. So I'm wondering if Act 2 is really more of the I don't know, but hit this zone and go where you want to go.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure. I bet it opens up quite a bit more.
Yeah. So we'll see. Plenty to talk about there. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We have a few other games to mention here briefly. We're going to do that in just a second. Stick around. All right. We are back. And there's some other stuff here. For me personally, I spent a lot of time finishing up Clair Obscur, Expedition 33.
All right.
I think I'm 2 trophies away from putting that game down. One of them is a reach the level cap, and the other one is just complete this like combat trial thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. You didn't miss the old key?
I don't think so.
I can't believe I know about that.
I don't know how you know about that.
It's just a Blue Sky thread about
missable,
really? about missable trophies in Clair Obscur came across, and I did a little reading just to.
Interesting.
I like to know.
There's one thing I thought I actually did have one missable that I went back and started a new game to get because it's very early in the beginning. It wasn't the old key though.
I did read that by and large you can pretty much just start a new game and pop off the missable ones relatively quickly.
Yeah, there was one little very minor combat thing that is like within the prologue of the game that I went back in. But I think that game is aces. I think that game is very good, has a very strong finish. And I love that the game allows you to build over level and build the most broken builds your deranged mind can come up with.
Okay,
it's just
all right.
So cool, the weird stuff. Like you guys know that there's the like how the magic system works in that game, right? Like
not really.
So you equip these things called pictos, and then after it's like they're like materia, right? You like slot in materia. Now I'm speaking your language. You slot in a materia, and if you use it for a certain number of battles, like I think it's 3, maybe 4, you can learn that materia, the picto, so that other characters can use it later on. But you don't get the like plus health stats. You just get the fire spell, right? Necessary if I'm talking about materia. Basically, you then spend these other points to equip as many of the learned pictos as you can. You can only have 3 pictos at a time, but the learned pictos cost points, and you can get points. So eventually you just wind up with like 200, 300, 400 points, whatever it is, depending on how you distribute them. So you just stack all of these learned things. And some of those things are like, when you die, everybody gets shields, right? Or when you die, the character gets its break bar, which is basically its exhaustion bar or whatever.
So there's no cap on how many things you can learn?
No cap.
No cap. Only a point total. And you find points throughout the world, right? So you start off with like 5 points, 10 points, 20 points, 100 points. But you get points to distribute. So if you want to load up one character with 1,000 points, I don't know what the cap is. I've only got about 300 on a character. So maybe 500 or something like that. But you're just building things like, okay, here's what I have on this character. when the battle starts, this character just dies. An auto die one, right? Mm-hmm. But because they died, everybody got shield. The boss character's break bar is filled. This character just got buffed with a 2x bonus on like a damage. All this stuff happens because this character dies. Plus, I've got an auto res on that character, so they just pop back up. So they auto die, but then they just resurrect immediately.
Okay, so are a lot of the learnables passives?
Like a lot of them are
things
passives,
things that'll like proc on death type stuff.
Yes,
like because the key is you want things to be popping off even once you've like lost a character or can't issue them a command, right?
So a lot of them are passive. Some of them are determined by what action you take. Hey, if you do a free shot, this thing will pop off, or if you do this action, or if you drop below 20% health, this thing will trigger. Right? A lot of them are triggered by some action you take. But it's fun because you just wind up in this flow chart for certain battles where you're like, all right, this character's going to die. They're going to res, but I have set up this battle. So this character then goes first, then this character. And then by the time you make your attack, you have stacked so many ridiculous things that you're doing literally millions of damage of points of damage.
Oh, there's no 4-digit cap on damage.
Eventually you can get a thing that breaks the cap. Another thing that's just like, you know, first you're like 9999, then you're like, do you want more than that? You can have more than that. So like by the time I was up to the boss, I was absolutely over leveled, the main story boss.
Yeah, I mean that's the question. How many turns to beat the boss?
2.
All right. Okay.
2 hits.
That's
Me
some pretty classic.
You hitting the floor kind of thing.
Yeah, that's not quite. I wish I remembered. In fact, I think I found my save on a memory card. Maybe I should try it. Maybe I should try this sometime.
You absolutely should.
I'm pretty sure I beat the boss of Final Fantasy X in one turn.
Okay,
if I'm not mistaken.
I think I will say, in my defense, I think the problem is there's an automatic like phase shift at
okay.
the.
If you beat it in the minimum number of turns, that's about the best you can do.
I think it's hard to tell. Like maybe I missed 1 health, right? It's hard to know. But I think there's just like phase 2 started. And then I did some optional bosses that were kicking my butt, and I had to completely build like broken builds. I just loved it. That part was so fun. I think the story actually is really interesting and engaging. I can't wait to see what DLC they do. The way the thing wraps up, I think they stick the landing for what they're going for, and which is a pretty tall order narratively for the rest of that game. I think they do it for sure. Great game. I think it's an all-timer, like RPG.
Is it your game of the year?
So far, I think I would say it's,
right.
You know, there's other games. Look, maybe Death Stranding 2 will be my game of the year, but so far this one is the one to beat for me. Do
you really think that, or are you just being nice?
What's that?
Or do you really think Death Stranding 2 has a chance, or are you just being nice?
Every game's got a chance.
All right.
Every game's got a chance.
All right.
We'll see. Out of the stuff I have played this year, this is the one you have talked about the most of any game this year. In a list of, like I said, in a list of like all timers. This could be, I'm not saying it's top 5, but it could be like in a top 10 if I really sat and thought about it. I really like the story in this game quite a bit. And like I said, I can't wait to see what the DLC is. So, Clair Obscur, Expedition Dirty 3.
Yes, that's right.
Dirty 3.
The Dirty 3. Fun game, great voice work. Can't wait to see what they pop out for DLC in the future, because it'll be interesting, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Brad, let's talk. We talked a little bit about it last time. Any further thoughts on Peak? The climbing adventure.
Rules.
Peak's pretty good.
Peak is pretty good. Peak is very difficult. Peak is the climbing mountaineering game we talked about. That game has blown up.
Yeah.
I didn't look in absolute terms at how big it was on Twitch on Monday when we were streaming it, but it had increased its share or its numbers on Twitch by a factor of 10 from the previous week. Like they sold 1 million copies in a week apparently. And on a paper, it's a pretty basic formula, right? According to our Twitch chat, apparently they just started making that game in February.
That's wild.
So they spent like 3-4 months making that game, and it sold 1 million in a week. They did something right with it.
So it's a cooperative first-person climbing, goofy proximity chat game, but
very
that's
tactile,
underselling it, I think, a little
physics-y, stamina-based. Yeah, it's really just the teamwork aspect.
And the item management.
There's some amount of hidden stuff in there. There's like that zombie thing that spawned and killed me that one time.
Yeah.
Some of the fruit that we found has some weird effects. And then I guess I would say like the items that we've been discovering, these sort of magical items.
Yeah.
Like we found an anti-rope that goes up instead of down.
That's right.
For example. Stuff like
good.
that. So like some of those
weird trumpet.
Yeah, some of those weird items like coming in clutch at a desperate moments. Like it leads to a lot of desperate moments, I guess I would say, because there's hunger mechanics, there's a fog that follows you up the mountain if you take too long, and like it's really when that fog has been approaching has been when some of the most desperate jumps have been taking place and item deployments and stuff like that.
And in the multiplayer, you really can add a lot by sticking together. You can help other players grab them and pull them up. You can carry their corpses for a while. You can revive other corpses. You can carry more items, which you were just saying is pretty key.
Yeah,
I think the one thing I understand it and I get it because you can carry more items, but the backpack sometimes feels like a liability because you carry all that weight, which I get it. It's the trade-off. It'd be the same thing if you were carrying those things in your pocket, but you can carry more of it. I think for me, it's a fun mechanic, but a weird one. Not being able to access the backpack easily while it's on your back is tough. You kind of have to take it off and put it down to get inside of it.
Yeah, but unlike all the other items, it's not afflicted by physics because just about every other item in the game, if you put it down, it can just roll right down the hill into oblivion.
Does the backpack usually stick to the ground?
Yeah, the backpack sticks to the ground when you drop it. So, but it is a little fiddly to not even be able to see what's in your backpack unless you take it off.
A little bit, but I think it's, again, one of those things where everybody else can interact with the backpack. I think the game really wants you to stick together and not go solo mountaineering, which are some of the most fun parts where the party gets split up and you're like, I'm over here. How do you get there? You can't. or again, it's proximity chat to hear somebody go, I'm over. Crap. And then you hear their voice slowly descend and don't hear it anymore.
Yeah.
Which is... Yep. And then you become a little ghost.
We are in a golden era of proximity chat.
Yeah. Never been a better time to proximity chat.
People are finally using it. It's only how many years since which Halo was it that they were talking about it that was like it was going to be a big deal? And then Ventrilo or TeamSpeak came out and everybody was like, oh, this is way easier. I'm just going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
But now people are actually using it for interesting gameplay relevant things.
Yeah. Yes. And not just like battle royales where you can just bypass it because you have a strategic advantage when you're not using it.
In fairness, talking to Will and people who have worked on actual video games, I think it's like there's a lot of like proximity chat middleware out there now. That's probably what is making this so common.
Sure.
Like a lot of ways to just plug it into your game very easily now.
We don't have to spin it up on your own.
Right.
That's Peak. It's around $20. It is out now. It's a lot of fun, especially if you have folks to play with. I have not tried it solo. I don't know how that mountain climbing would go with the 3 items.
I think that could be its own fun challenge.
Yeah. The other interesting thing I'll say about Peak is I think it's every 24 hours the mountain changes. Is that right? I don't know if they're cycling in mountains, but you basically have a few runs to learn a mountain. Then the next time you play, if it's the next day or so, you'll have a different mountain to take on with different layouts. Alex, you and I played Lens Island.
We sure did.
With Abby Russell, and that's been in early access for a while, but just came out of early access, and it is a tree puncher, third-person survival game, multiplayer. But I kind of dug it. It's got an action combat element to it, where you are also not only building your supplies, you're building swords and armor and basically dodging and rolling and getting special abilities in the action parts of the dungeon.
Yeah.
Which is
it's the sort of game where it's like the dungeon is the thing you do so that you can get more resources and more things so you can continue to build your town, your houses, what have you.
Yeah.
All the mechanics are pretty simple, but I would say they seem like they work together pretty well. And just, I don't know, like it's one of those games that's like, yeah, you're hunting monsters, but it is very much a cozy kind of game.
Kind of cozy.
Is this like a Diablo style perspective? Like 3/4 overhead? Kind of weird.
I wouldn't call it like an action RPG, but it's got that vibe.
Just when I hear Tree Puncher, I think first person because that's what everything is now. It's just interesting to see something different for once. Even though different in this case means like what video games looked like 30 years ago.
Right.
And you get like, push E and you do your special attack with your weapon. It's like it's a little weird but kind of cool. And also, Abby was like, I just want to build, or eventually was like, I'm going to spend my time building my manor, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm going to go explore this other island. And Alex was like, I'm going to go get food and do this stuff. And I think those are always fun when you can find your niche in those kinds of games and be happy with it.
Yeah,
so,
it seems fun. It's slight, but in a way that I think benefits what they're trying to do. And, the vibes are generally like pretty pleasant.
And when it came out of early access, the developer made it free for a weekend, I think. So I think that's a pretty cool move to get people to jump into your game to check it out. I don't know if there's anything.
I think it helped with the buzz because people are talking about that game
for sure. I think it's been in early access for quite a bit. Brad, you said you played more Nightreign.
Yeah, I've not had a ton of time to play it since I got back from LA, but I've dipped into it a couple times. I played with a friend of the show, Samantha Coleman, a bit.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Who gave me a crucial tip.
Oh?
Which I kind of feel like an idiot for not having realized myself. The bosses have elemental affinities, which you can see when you select them off the screen.
Okay.
Like it's obvious. They're just a little icon kind of next to their name. The thing I did not realize, it's like this boss is weak to poison. This one's weak to fire.
Sure.
The thing I didn't realize is is it just a crapshoot if you are going to find that power on your run? You can get, some of the drops in that game will give you starting weapon starts with poison. So you could bias it that way. Although in that case, that means you're stuck with your starting weapon if you don't find a better one with poison on it, unless you upgrade that weapon. I totally had missed this, but every map, there's 2 locations on the map that have a little elemental icon next to them of that element.
Oh.
There's just so many locations on the map. I guess I had just never noticed, but
what happens at
the tip she gave me? So it's still not guaranteed, but it's a much, much higher chance of finding a weapon with that effect on it if you go to that location.
Okay. I thought you were going to say you can charge your weapon with it, infuse
no,
it.
It's still a random drop chance. It's just, it's been probably 80% of the time I hit one of those locations, I'll find a weapon of that type there.
Oh, that's cool.
So, and that's huge. That
and has it made a big difference?
Yeah, I got my first kill on the fucking god-awful moth scorpion boss combo.
That's the Night 3 boss?
It's one of the final bosses. It's the sentient pest, I think is the name of that one.
Gross.
The moth is kind of the only thing you can damage, so you kind of have to have ranged people hit that. Anyway, it's whatever, it doesn't matter. But
you beat it.
Barely beat that one because I had a fire bow. Even though the other 2 people were melee and not really able to hit the flying boss that's vulnerable. Randos playing the game still don't seem to have picked up on what I have just described. Because when we were doing that boss, I was doing everything. I was pinging the fire locations over and over, trying to get them to come with me to go get fire weapons, and they would not do it.
I mean, that's hard.
So I had to go off script and go do it myself, which was not a good experience. But like I said, I was the only ranged character on a flying boss with a fire bow, and so sure enough, we did manage to take it down.
Okay. And they survived?
Yeah, we made it through.
Okay.
They generally seemed to know what they were doing. They just didn't seem to know, hey, we should go get the element that the boss is weak to. But that seems almost
This is a hot tip. You're spreading the knowledge here.
Seems almost required. I don't know. I don't want to say it's required. I mean, obviously, if you are just good enough, you can chip the boss down anyway. It made a huge difference.
And you got that on the day. I'm sorry, I might forget how Nightreign works. It's day 1, day 2, and then just right into boss. You don't do a whole nother day.
Day 3, you go straight to the final boss.
So when did you get your? How did you know the moth was going to have the fire?
It tells you when you pick the boss. First of all, it's fixed. They don't rotate or anything like that. It's not like this week this boss is weak to fire.
Okay.
Those are set, but also you see the icon when you pick which boss you're going to go.
So you knew going into the end of night 2, you wanted this bow in hand.
Or you know that from the start of the match. You know it in the hub when you pick which boss to go fight.
Do the sub bosses have elemental weakness like that? I don't
think so.
Okay, so this is a thing that you can get and sit on until the boss. You're not swapping it out for other ones. Interesting. Good tip.
It makes a huge difference.
Thanks, Samantha. That's spreading the good word out there.
Yes.
But holding up, you think Nightreign is still?
That game rules. I unlocked the dresser so I can buy new outfits for
great,
which is the critical missing piece of a multiplayer game like this.
Fantastic. You're getting into, I don't know, what's the portmanteau for Nightreign's fashion show? Is it like a night show, night fashion?
Sure.
Reign of fashion, fashion reign. Somebody will figure it out.
Raincore.
Get into your raincore.
Yeah.
Night Core.
Yeah, it's your Night Court.
Night Court. Got it.
Harry Anderson is there.
Uh-huh.
He's doing magic. It's fucking great.
Yes, it's weak to magic.
I think I might go back to playing some melee characters, though. I'm getting really tired of playing the archer.
Nobody else is playing the archer,
because hardly anybody else ever does. And it's just so good to have for revives, but...
It's so weird that no one does it, because like the archer character is actually fairly fun to play, I found.
That's fine. Like the basic attack kind of gets a little old, just hammering on the shoulder button to shoot arrows all the time. Like
sure.
the special abilities are certainly useful. It's mostly just that kind of wailing on them from a distance.
Mm-hmm.
Range wins matches.
It's a little old, but it's just... Magic users are the same thing. Like anybody with ranged attacks is able to revive other players so effectively. You kind of have to have it.
Bomb them.
Yeah, from a distance.
Nightreign out there. Sounds like it's holding up, which is good to hear. Do you know I suspect they're continuing to tweak that game?
They just added a bunch of stuff. They think they just added like a whole new round of like kind of mutated versions of the bosses. Not like visibly art-wise mutated, but like kind of different versions of the 7 final bosses, I think.
If you want to opt for them, like a harder?
I think they're post-game. They might be after you beat them, or maybe after you beat all of them, you get access to that. I'm not sure how it works, but they are definitely adding more types of stuff to the game. And I'm still seeing new stuff. Like a big chunk of the middle of the map was covered in snow on my last run for the first time, which I had never seen before. Like there's still like a bunch of modifiers in there that I haven't run across yet.
Do you think, Brad Shoemaker, does Nightreign get holiday events?
I doubt it.
Are they going to put little Santa hats on the enemies?
Holiday themed, absolutely not.
Do you think you might get some unlockable holiday outfit? Like what is Elden Ring's holiday events? Are you going to get a giant candy cane sword?
What is the Marvel event going to look like in Nightreign?
I don't know.
They should just start doing crossovers the exact same way that every other service game does. Absolutely no trying to retrofit it into this universe. No, we're just doing a deal with Blizzard this time. Check it out. Here's the cast of Overwatch and Nightreign.
Like, I can't wait to go get AI Darth Vader on the corner of the Nightreign map.
There you go. I heard it's pretty good. Brad, you also said you stuck a toe into Hopshot.
Yeah, I think that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think my time with that game has come and gone, probably.
Patrick Klepek's Hopshot.
Patrick has been streaming this game on Remap. I had kind of been avoiding playing it because I didn't just want to bite his style necessarily, but this was on the wake of talking about baby steps last week, and enjoying games where just moving around is the challenge. This game might be a little too hard to move around.
Okay.
I feel like I caught him playing it. I don't know if he originally played it on one of those wheel sponsored wheel things they do or something. I remember him booting up for the first time and discovering it and was like, this game, well, before you set it up, because the mechanics of this game are super weird.
Dude, that game is evil. The game is straight up evil.
Why don't you describe it to the folks?
It's a 2D game. It's like a retro kind of lo-fi pixel art looking sort of vibe.
Like Downwell-ish.
It's a side scroller, yes. It's like Downwell. It's a side scroller, but it's really more of an up scroller. Like it's a vertical side scrolling game. You go up, you start at the bottom of this whatever, and you're going up and up by screen. The controls, it's like a 2-button game. It's like literally, if you're playing on keyboard, it's just A and D of the WASD fame. Make you move left and right. And then it's got 360-degree aiming with the mouse because you get a gun pretty quickly. And you use the gun to get an extra jump, in my experience so far. Like you shoot the gun in a direction and it'll kind of give you more height mid-jump or whatever. There's no walking in this game or running. It is only hopping back and forth. And even a tap of A and D has got a pretty decent minimum distance on it.
Uh-huh.
This game is fucking infuriating because
you fall.
The platforms are quite small, generally. The jumps are very precise. And because of that that relatively long minimum distance on the hops, you absolutely can get positioned wrong on a platform where you're way up at the top of like 2 full screens of jumps.
Yep.
And the level design is such that there's one point like on the 3rd screen, I think that I got to, there's quite literally like a drain in the level design where if you make this one jump wrong, they have created like a drain of slanted platforms underneath that funnels you all the way back down again.
Oh, like almost like pinball style. Like
basically.
Yeah.
You can charge the jumps by holding A or D. You can charge to get a bigger jump, which is how you get height and stuff. But like finessing those jumps and figuring out the like how much to charge, how big a jump do I need? Like the really terrifying one is, okay, I've gotten up like 8 platforms and I'm like on this crucial jump, but I'm not quite positioned right.
Right. You know you're going to overshoot or something.
Can I do one more hop without overshooting the end of this platform to get myself closer to the right place I need to be? Or am I just going to reset the last 5 minutes of progress?
I remember watching
it's a nightmare.
Patrick, and he would sometimes he'd be on the near the lip of a platform or too far from the lip of a platform, and he would jump towards the wall just to get repositioned a little bit.
You can bank yourself off the wall, which helps a little bit, but even that's somewhat unpredictable.
Yeah. And then, yes, the stuff with the gun and using it to stall or gain momentum. It's like a puzzle game. It's like a jumping puzzle game.
Pretty much. Also, the bullets, you don't have bullets in your gun as such. Like you pick up a bullet and when you shoot it, it falls out of your gun and you have to go get it again if you want another shot. Maybe you can hold multiple bullets later. I don't know, but like it's the bullet is very much an expendable thing that you then have to like do work to go regain.
Do you think there's in that game? Because when I watched Patrick do it, he did the same part for quite a bit, trying to figure it out. You think there's a critical path the designers had for that game, and then other people are just finding other ways around it, or do you think there are multiple ways to get up a level?
I only made it to the 3rd screen.
Okay,
and then kind of gave up. Tearing my hair out.
Yeah.
It seemed very much like there's kind of one route through everything.
Right. Unless you're like doing some fancy next level hopshotting.
Yes.
It's a cool concept.
Also, they don't even tell you that the gun is involved in the jumps off the bat. I'd played it for like 15 minutes and could not figure out how to get past the 2nd screen. And then somebody on the Discord tipped me off to using the gun. But if I hadn't been for that, I don't know how long it would have taken me before I realized that you are jumping with the gun.
It's $5.
Yes.
It's a cool concept. I liked watching Patrick play. It's very silly.
It's neat. Like it's for a certain type of masochist that like I'm not quite there.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly like some punishing games, but it might be a bit much for me.
Yeah, this is not sounding like my jam personally.
All right, you guys, anything else to talk about before we bounce over into the news?
No, I've continued to play Mario Kart. I'm continuing to play Assassin's Creed, but I will probably be doing those for a while.
And porting packages.
Porting is currently the top of the priority list at the moment.
Hauling packages.
I'm kind of excited to go play more Death Stranding.
I'm into it for now. I'm enjoying myself, and I have momentum at the moment, so I feel like I'm going to keep playing it.
Yes, same here. All right, then let's take another break, and we'll be back with the news after this. All right, we are back, and it is time for the news. Now, I think generally, we've said it before, I think, Brad, maybe you explicitly said it, we are in our post-summer news cycle, which means most of the news getting out there is generally stuff that people didn't expect to get out there, or maybe be the bummer news. It's usually not super great. Not a lot of announcements.
There's not a lot. Yeah, not a lot of planned stuff going on.
But we do have news out there. Alex Navarro, you have scooped up some news this week. And to begin with, let's start with Microsoft.
You know, it had been, I'm going to say, a reasonably decent amount of time since we had a major layoff story, and I cherished every moment of that because I never enjoy talking about this stuff, but it is still an ongoing concern in the games industry, and Microsoft is poised to do their 4th round of layoffs from the last 18 months. The exact number is not known here, and in fact, it seems like a lot of the focus at Microsoft largely is going to be in the sales departments, but it sounds like the Xbox division will also be wrapped up in this in some cases, and it is not entirely clear exactly who they are targeting this time around.
Right, so this is, and correct me if I'm wrong, this sounds like this is a Microsoft proper big M round, reorg and round.
Yeah, with the $sign.
Yes.
With the $sign, sorry, big M $sign. And currently, we should mention, still on the BDS list there.
Yes.
That Microsoft reorg but the Xbox games, as being reported by Bloomberg, I believe, is
Bloomberg is where the original report is coming from here.
Will be affected.
Will be affected. And again, this is the fourth round they have had in less than 2 years. Those numbers have been fairly significant across every single one of them. I think the last layoff was the first one that was under 1,000 people, but then this one seems like it's poised to be fairly large.
Yeah, this initial Bloomberg report, the one about the whole company, not about Xbox, the initial one says thousands of jobs, plural.
Yeah.
Who knows how much of that will be at Xbox? But I mean, like it seems like, there's like kind of an ongoing strategic realignment happening at Xbox. So
that's how they keep phrasing it.
Like, moving toward more open platforms, more Windows-centric, whatever is going on over there.
Yeah.
Anyway, who knows? Like, who knows who gets cut along the way as they change their priorities?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot going on at Microsoft these days, largely beyond just the Xbox division. There's a lot going on with their relationship with OpenAI. That is a very big financial concern for them, and it seems like that stuff is coming to a head in a variety of ways. Who can say where it will end up? But right now, Microsoft's in a very weird position in general, and I have to imagine the Xbox division is mostly bearing the brunt of this because there are also other larger problems going on.
Yeah, I mean, Microsoft, we deal a lot with the Xbox side and even the Windows side, but there's that whole enterprise side, the Azure side,
it's a big fucking company.
And like Azure's huge, and their services, like if people are more familiar with AWS or Google Cloud services, like this is Brad, do you know if Azure is bigger than AWS?
No. Not unless something's changed. Since I last looked like a year ago, AWS was still by far the biggest, but Microsoft was by far the second biggest.
Okay, because I know a lot of people use AWS for storage, but a lot of the Azure stuff also.
I want to say like the Azure stuff has some specialties that maybe certain people who are looking for something specific from their cloud computing does, that maybe AWS doesn't. I don't know. I'm
not sure. I mean, AWS definitely still the biggest in cloud compute as well as storage, but Azure is also very
lot
big.
Of reach out,
very large.
Yeah, and like Office 365 is a massive revenue driver.
You wouldn't think
like bigger than I think bigger than Windows. I'm not 100%. I would have to check, but a lot of people out there using Teams these days. A lot of people out there complaining about Teams these days.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, it's funny you said that. When it made me think for a second on Windows, I was like, who's using Office but not running Windows? And then I was like, oh, actually, there are plenty of people I know who run Macs or like Mac companies that wind up using Office.
That was Red Ventures. We were on Macs.
Right.
We were on company issued MacBooks using Teams and Office and Outlook.
And a lot of that stuff is now also web-based where you don't even need it local.
Yep.
So yeah, anyway, we are focusing more on the Xbox stuff. I'm sure we'll hear more of that. I don't think we have specific numbers or departments that are hit within the games group.
I wonder if that'll result in any project cancellations. I hope not. Like any actual like announced games that suddenly are no longer getting made.
Yeah. I mean, this does seem unrelated to product in the games group, at least from our knowledge. We could be off, but they seem to be doing okay with released products in this last 2 quarters, at least, with Doom and
like stuff seems to be going. I don't know how Doom did actually. Like,
I think it's doing okay at least. Like, it seemed like it had a player count for a while there.
Generally, all their stuff has been pretty well received this year, and they've still got more stuff coming out.
Yeah, so we'll see. Still a lot of, I think, I don't know, what would you call it? Readjustments, if I want to be shitty and use a term that's probably used inside boardrooms.
Right.
Pivoting.
Or realigning to the market. I don't know. Whatever we're coming out of the last 4 years when they staffed up huge. And I mean, let's forget, again, I don't think this is necessarily related because it's a bigger Microsoft thing. But, they picked up one of the biggest mergers in Activision.
Oh, yeah. And one of those layoff rounds was specifically them culling jobs because they were finding redundancies. Or at least, that's how they framed it.
But best of luck to anybody affected by this, of course.
Yep.
I know it sounds trite and cliche because we've said it too much, but
we won't know the details of the stuff until next week, seemingly, if the report holds true. So, I'm sure sometime next week we will start hearing about like which divisions are being affected by this, but it does seem like a lot of it is probably going to be in larger Microsoft sales.
But Alex, the next story here does seem connected to product, and it is another
could not
layoff.
possibly be more connected to a product, I think.
And this is another layoff story here. This one having to do with Build a Rocket Boy and MindsEye.
Yes, the studio, the Benz's studio, which made MindsEye to, I'm going to charitably describe it as minimal acclaim, it appears poised to do a fairly sizable layoff. In the UK, where the studio is based, they're based in Edinburgh. If you are planning on laying off more than 100 people, there is a 45-day consultation process period that has to go through. That number goes, the day count goes down depending on if you are laying off a lower number of people, apparently. But they have engaged the 45-day window, which means that at minimum 100 people are probably going to get laid off from the studio. Now, the surprising thing in the studio was, in the story was, I did not realize exactly how many people worked at this studio. I know that there's always a lot of people that get roped up in game development these days that are contract, or not necessarily full time at the studio. But apparently they had about 300 people working at the Edinburgh studio alone. And that the story also cites roughly another 200 employees overseas.
It takes a lot of people to make video games.
Yeah, it sure does.
Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. It is, there are a lot of hands on deck. And then they also, two things. One, I think, Brad, you noticed this has since been confirmed since we had put the news together.
Yeah.
That there are absolutely layoffs happening, just not necessarily confirmed at the scope.
But they did confirm to IGN the broad strokes of the story.
And then the second thing is they have or had, at least as the time of this reporting, a second project that was in the works.
Apparently, yes.
I had forgotten all about their second project.
Yeah, I mean, that was how they announced that thing. MindsEye was
the smaller.
What the fuck was MindsEye when the Benz got out there and founded this studio? Everywhere was the project you always heard about.
And then they kind of stopped talking about it.
Everywhere being the name of the thing.
Yeah, I feel like I have not heard anything about that game in years at this point. 2022, they showed a teaser at Gamescom.
But then it's kind of all been MindsEye since then.
Is the last time they said anything about it. I'm still not quite clear what Everywhere is. It's supposed to be some kind of MMO thing.
Yeah.
Players start in the city of Eutropia, where they access different experiences such as biomes surrounding the city, different game modes, user-generated environments called arcs, or the game MindsEye. I'm just reading from the Wikipedia description here. It kind of sounds like some sort of Roblox-esque
platform
thing. Yeah.
That sounds like the sort of thing you'd build if you wanted to get investors.
Yes, very much.
So yeah, well, like you said, MindsEye came out with a horrible launch.
It clonked, right out of the gate.
I had not looked up reviews for this. I knew it was poorly received, but I was it's definitely one of those things that takes on a life of its own, especially in this, what I have to say is kind of a god-awful era of people just racing to get the sickest dunks on social media. Not that this is a new phenomenon, but
yeah.
When something comes out and is bad, there is sort of this momentum that builds of.
Oh yeah, it's like watching Piranha's feed.
Yes, I always have to now question okay, is this thing really as bad as people say, or people just getting viral activity on a clip of some physics breaking or whatever? But I just went and looked at reviews of this. This thing has a 34 average on OpenCritic.
It's and even just apart from the broken parts, which was a way bigger portion than you want in your launch video game. It also just sounded very shallow and not that interesting, even if it was working correctly.
4 out of 10 from IGN, 3 out of 10 from GameSpot, 1 out of 5 from Eurogamer. Big established outlets did not like this game.
Yeah,
there was a point in doing this job that I would probably go play MindsEye if I had the inclination or time. I don't mind playing some.
Oh yeah, Vinny J. That's literally half. That's half your persona.
I also made that calculation at some point of okay, has this thing reached a mythical enough status that I need to experience it for myself, but not quite.
But with kind of the stuff you're talking about, Brad, stole some of the, I don't know,
the joy,
especially when you're playing it and talking about it for a living or playing it online. There are people that you just feel like you're taking another swing at something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you're just doing it because you want to be on even if it is terrible, or even games that are just trash, now there's a whole category of people who, and I'm not saying MindsEye is this, but trash Steam games, because there's a whole world of trash Steam games that are like, oh, you're just streaming streamer trash, or you're just doing whatever. And like, I don't know, it used to just be fun to look at weird shit on the internet there and like poke around and break stuff. But I do get it that some stuff is just garbage out there and doesn't need to be touched. But this seems like it was for all intents and purposes, this seems like it was supposed to be an B or A game.
I think it was going to be supposed to be a good B game, I
mean, dude, it has been not 3 weeks since they had that IO Interactive showcase where they were like showing a bunch of this game on a stage and talking about it as if it was a big, significant release.
I am kind of curious how this one, I think we may have talked about it before, how it got promoted to that point without people knowing just how bad it might be.
Yeah, they didn't show much of it. Like,
yeah,
it was on at least one state of play. Like, I know there was like 2 state of plays ago. I think they ended with this. It was like a fairly extended trailer.
Yeah, I remember that trailer.
I don't remember a ton of other promotion around it, to be honest.
But internally, they must know this game had severe problems.
I would think so.
And I would almost guarantee they had other people telling them that. I'm sure they did mock reviews or they did mock tests and had people play it and be like, this is really busted up. But they must have just been running out of money. I don't know.
Some of the stuff that you saw going around was not just like, oh, you have the wrong hardware and something glitched out. Like, it's people repeating the exact same bug of a person's like textures completely collapsing the second a car touches them. Like, that shit happens over and over again.
Known shippable.
Repeatable, right. There's repeatable things. And obviously everybody listening to this remembers the Cyberpunk launch, and obviously they were able to afford the time to put that game into a state which was playable, the shipping state which they would have wanted. And at the time, I don't know, you guys have better memories than I do, and the audience certainly does. I feel like the story going around there was they had to make so many concessions to port that thing to lesser platforms at the time that it really, like, was it the PS4 had a version, the Xbox Series X and S had their versions. Then those versions were they committed to shipping those versions.
Sorry, you're talking about Cyberpunk?
Cyberpunk?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The PS4 version was a giant mess. Yes.
And like they had committed to it. They never should have committed to it. They should have put their resources into sewing up the current gen versions of it. I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm making excuses for it, but it seemed like there was a trail you could see where like, you guys shouldn't have extended that far, right?
Sure.
Like maybe something happened in there.
That situation is especially acute. Of the PS5 was like less than a month old at that point, and it's like they really want to be able to sell to the 100+ million PS4 owners,
obviously.
Yeah, but this MindsEye, I don't know. It just seems like something got away from somebody in this, and my sympathy to the devs because they know it as well. You don't have to like tell them.
Yeah, that's a big part of why I find a lot of the dunking to be kind of distasteful. Is that there are a lot of very well-meaning people who worked on that game that probably know exactly what they put out.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, it's you did put that product out into the world.
Totally.
It's
and charge money for it.
It's the same reason, like, I don't actually give a lot of leeway to Cyberpunk, even though they did eventually make that game good, is you still put out a product at the beginning that was absolute junk. Like, it just wasn't there. And, like, honestly, this one, the MindsEye thing in particular, kind of reminds me of the last Saints Row, like, the launch of that thing and the degree of backlash to that thing, and unfortunately the consequences that went along with that.
I don't want to, don't misunderstand me. I'm not trying to I really don't want to make an excuse for Cyberpunk and say putting out a product, charging for it, and then having it be broken.
Literally pulled down from stores,
Yeah. Like I'm just trying to like wrap my head around how that happens. And in the Cyberpunk tale in my head is mostly like, oh, like an overextension. This happened with the last consoles. I could see how maybe they got here, but also CD Projekt has the money to sit and make that product the thing they wanted to make, because they have Witcher money, they have all this money,
but they also have pressures. There are still pressures coming from publishers, from like retail, like everywhere. Like people want that game out.
CD Projekt is public, so in their case, it was investor pressure.
Yeah, and those pressures, you can stave them off to a certain point, but they would not have put out that game in that state unless they felt like they had no fucking choice but to do so. Like, and I think that is the thing that GTA 6 is trying to get away from, is the possibility of that game launching in anything less than an optimal state.
Yeah,
okay,
I don't feel like Rockstar's got too bad of a history of that.
No, but they do have a bad history of crunch to make that thing not happen. So,
yeah, but GTA 5 and Red Dead 2 both launched pretty clean that I remember, except for some of the online
issues.
The online stuff was a mess, I remember. But
the pressures there are still immense. That's the thing, is that everybody wants GTA 6 out as soon as humanly possible.
Was it the PC or was it on consoles as well, where the people would be riding with no horse? Do you remember that? Like the clips. The clips of like the rider just floating through the air. I mean, not without bugs. But this is there a world? This is spitcasting on this podcast. Is there any world where Build a Rocket Boy and IO where like we need to release far ahead of GTA, which is coming out this year for sure, guys? We need to get this out the door.
I mean, we've heard.
I'm sure.
Over and over again that has been the refrain for any vaguely related game. I mean, again, was it Kojima, I think, even got out there and said, yeah, we put Death Stranding out earlier than maybe we would have liked because we were told we needed to get ahead of that shit, and he did not sound pleased about the fact that it got delayed.
Yeah, I think that's priced in for basically everybody at this point.
At this point, if you're putting out a game within 6 months of GTA.
If you are putting out a game with a third-person camera, you are trying to get away from GTA.
I mean, GTA has just reached such mythic proportions at this point that it kind of dominates everything.
So then you have your release date, you have your schedule, because you can't just switch gears at like the 11th hour in game development. So you have your schedule. Everybody's working hard to get this thing out. It's I don't know.
It's a bad circumstance. It's all bad circumstances.
Yeah. I feel bad for the consumer. I feel bad for the people who wanted this game to be great. I don't know how I feel about the Bens, but it's like, we'll see. But yeah,
to be clear, like people should say when games are bad. Like,
absolutely,
I'm not like I've spent most of my career doing that, But like the distinction, I guess I was trying to make earlier is like there's a certain gleefulness to it sometimes that like dancing on the grave that feels a little gross or feels like it's losing sight of the fact that there were definitely people behind this product that probably sucks to hear.
I think you just have to draw the line. It's like, I think we still have to be able to extract some joy from train wrecks. Like, we can't do that. That is taking a piece of humanity away from me that I don't want. But there's also a way to not make it personal. Like to say, look, this is ridiculous. These bugs are ridiculous. This shit that's happening that is on highlight reel this week is ridiculous, without making it about savaging the people who tried to make something. Also, unless it's the people who made Big Rigs, in which case fucking open season forever.
And I think the part where I feel a little more comfortable is, having some joy in games, because games really do break in the most fantastic ways,
and you always find a way to do it.
But we've been around long enough to, I feel like, hold those two things together. That we've talked to enough developers, our audience is probably familiar with it enough to know that the devs know. You don't release a thing and then suddenly be like, oh, we didn't know it was going to be this broken. Like,
every once in a while you run into some developer that's a little delusional, but generally speaking, I think it's pretty hard not to know what it is you're putting out. I
feel like the ones that are a little more defensive, let's say, are the ones where people don't understand their vision. Like they didn't, the game wasn't received the way they thought it was going to be received. Not for the technical stuff, I think is a little more apparent.
Yeah.
But it's a bad release.
Yeah.
It's okay. And we've seen, the other thing too is with an audience that I feel like skews a little older, we've all seen really bad releases over our lifetime. So we don't have to get out there and be like, this is the worst train wreck ever, and be like, no, actually, you should.
Some of us made our careers determining what the actual worst train wrecks of all time are.
Yeah. They've been out there. So that all being said, you can look. I'm sure the makers of MindsEye would love if you bought their game, even if you have a little fun at how broken it is, as long as they got a sale of the copy. It sounds like a lot of people are getting refunds on it.
Kind of why I didn't go out and buy it, because I sort of did not want to contribute by saying, I will give you money so I can make fun of your bad product. That just feels bad.
I am still genuinely kind of curious about some of what's in it. I am curious to see what happens, and I am empathetic and sympathetic to the 100+ people who may lose their jobs because this game didn't perform nearly up to anybody's standard.
Fucking cutthroat out there right now.
All right. Speaking of the numbers,
Wow.
The Sega numbers are out there, and or leaked
Some
out
of them
there.
are out
Some
Sega numbers.
Some Sega numbers. And Alex, are there any surprises on this list for you? These are, or why don't you explain what happened here and what we're talking about?
Yeah, basically a presentation got uploaded to the Sega Sammy Investor Relations website, and that presentation had a table of sales numbers, which probably were not supposed to make it out into a public thing, mostly because nobody puts out real numbers anymore. That's just not a thing game publishers give the public anymore.
Like kind of a bummer, honestly, for the armchair analysts among us. It's like movies. I compare so much to the movie industry. Like things are done so differently over there. There's so much more secrecy about everything in the games industry versus like movie projects just get announced publicly basically as soon as they get started. Like casting is announced, like box office numbers are highly public.
I don't know much about that world, but you guys have talked about it before. Maybe games development just needs more creative accounting, so that when they put out their numbers, they could then say,
perhaps
they could say GTA 6 actually took a loss.
Well, no,
we lost money on that game.
Square Enix has been at the vanguard of that by finding ways to make the failures of Japanese studios the problem of their Western studios. They figured out how to do that with ruthless efficiency.
Well, and we should add that, look, you probably have heard video game numbers out there. Usually it's when they want to talk about how well something is selling. Yeah, that's but even usually then, when you hear about the numbers.
It's rarely very exact, and you don't know exactly like what they're pulling those sources from exactly. But
regarding also the other version of video game industry creative accounting is when they moved from raw numbers to like fuzzier, more laudatory metrics, like kind of
engagement numbers.
Yes, like when Xbox went from number of consoles sold to hours of engagements or whatever.
Concurrent players.
Right. Yeah, like
my favorite, and this is maybe more obscure, but it's an old one. Back when physical sales were tracked, was not how many units sold, how many units are in the channel, how many units are in the channel.
Yep. Shipped to retail versus sold through.
Yep,
that's right. So, Alex, what are we talking about here?
So, we're mostly talking here about some Sonic stuff, some Total War stuff, some Like a Dragon stuff, and some Persona / Shin Megami Tensei stuff.
Yeah. Who are the big winners?
I'd say the biggest winner here is Persona 5 in all its various forms, because that thing, between the remaster version and the original, has done about 7.25 million units.
Persona sells.
Is Royal, I should know this, isn't Royal itself a re-release?
I think that is the updated version of Persona 5, like the one, like the director's cut. Yes.
Okay. Was Royal just the, hey, now it ships with all the extra content kind of release?
And then there was a remaster, I guess, of that.
Okay. Right. Yes. Yeah, Persona does well, huh?
And
maybe this knowledge isn't out there, but we assume these are lifetime sales?
I would have to think so.
Okay, because they're big numbers.
Yeah.
So you said,
no way Persona 5 Royal did those numbers in the last year,
Yeah, right. Right. So we're talking lifetime sales here.
Yeah.
So who are the big, I'm not going to say losers, who haven't put up the numbers?
Well, I'll just say also for your own edification there, Vinny, Team Sonic Racing, 3.5 million copies. So they're, the Sonic Racing franchise is healthy and continuing.
Yep. Yeah, I'm kind of shocked. Some of the Sonic stuff, I shouldn't say this. I'm not saying it's like a failure or anything, but like the Sonic movies are so huge. The Sonic fandom is so diehard.
Yeah.
Kind of surprised some of these Sonic games are like Sonic Superstars, a little under 2.5. Sonic Frontiers, 4.5.
Mm-hmm. Which isn't bad. Those are pretty good numbers.
Those are not bad numbers.
I mean, that's solid. And granted, Frontiers is maybe not the best game ever made.
No, it is not. But it is interesting.
I just would have thought that the Sonic games would have led this list, not Persona.
I think when you look at this list, when you think about Persona,
you talk about sense. Persona.
We talk about Persona. So Persona sells. I could have guessed that. I would have guessed the Sonic stuff in some variation would have been a little higher, but they also, we just talked about development. I'm not saying it's easier to develop. They make more Sonic stuff.
Right.
The frequency of Sonic branded stuff is such that I'm not saying you can roll up all the Sonic numbers and they combine Voltron style because you have different development teams. But what I'm saying is you could probably look at it and be like, we're going to make a lot more Sonic games.
Yes.
Like we're going to take these in bulk. Sonic does well.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Alex, who's near the bottom here?
Technically it's the Like a Dragon franchise, though, these numbers, I would say, based on what I've heard about how Yakuza used to do in the US before Yakuza 0 kind of turned everything around here, these are not bad numbers. The only one that's really kind of low is Like a Dragon, the man who erased his name, or their name. It's under 1 million, but for a side digital-only game, like, I don't think that's necessarily too crazy. I will say Infinite Wealth, a little bit lower than I would have thought. Like a Dragon, the Yakuza 7, has done just under 3 million, and Infinite Wealth
very
is
respectable.
Yeah, is done about 1.5.
I guess we also don't know what territories these numbers cover. I assume it's global?
I think it's global.
It's the RGG games are the ones I was the most interested to see here, just because that studio is a little more offbeat and a little more weird, and also kind of recently ascendant. Like you said, they kind of didn't do much here
since about 2015 or so. They have been on the upswing,
right? Like thinking back to the early days, like the first Yakuza getting localized and then kind of failing to meet Sega's expectations and stuff. But like now they are a pretty revered developer. Like,
they're critical darlings if nothing else.
Yes, that's kind of it. It's kind of like I wanted to see like what critical darling numbers look like on these games. Like the Yakuza 7 doing almost 3 million, pretty good.
So there's an interesting omission on this list. I mean, obviously this does not encompass all of Sega's releases and franchises and what have you, but when we are talking about the RGG stuff, there is no Judgment on here.
Right.
Judgment and Lost Judgment are not on here at all, and I wonder if that is a concession that, hey, that's not a thing we're talking about anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I might have said this when we were talking about Stranger Than Heaven from SGF, but like, is that game kind of slotting into the Judgment slot now?
I think it might be.
Like, that's their new not Yakuza game to work on now that the Judgment stuff has kind of fallen apart?
Yeah, it very, very well be. I don't know exactly how they're planning on tying this into their larger universe, or if they even are, but it does seem like this is going to be their Yakuza off-year thing for at least this game, and we'll see how it does.
I don't think there are any major celebrities involved in that one.
Well, there might be. I mean, I'm sure they're using popular Japanese actors. It may just not be of the guy who played Yagami's level. Right. My understanding was it had more to do with his agency than him in terms of like where the problems were. But then his agency, some shit happened. So I don't know. I don't know what happened there.
Just a quick clarification point, because we brought it up before. It is not Lifetime. It's from 2020. So
from 2020 on.
2020 on, which I think only really affects anything like Total War. Three Kingdoms has some sales, I think, from before that. It's Like a Dragon, Persona 5, Team Sonic, and Total War start in getting recorded in 2020. They might have sales data from pre-2020 that's not recorded here.
Yeah, but, Lost Judgment at least would have been on this list then, because that game came out, I think, in 2021.
Okay. Yeah, and these are selected things. Again, this was a slide that has since been taken down.
Yeah.
And I think
we're not supposed to see this, folks.
I think it was recorded by Reset Era, which is where I was just looking at the captured information for it. So, video games. And the other thing that's not on here, which is the thing I bring up only because it happened at Giant Bomb a lot in terms of other departments, if you think of video games as departments, is you're not looking at profit, right?
No.
You're just looking at units.
Raw sales numbers.
Yeah. So if Persona 5 took 15 times more than a Yakuza game to make, you have to sell that many more units, right? Like you could still be selling fewer units and be profitable. Like you said, Alex, a smaller piece of DLC, like or not standalone, the man who erased their name might be able to profit off of fewer units. So,
well, again, because that's the thing, their B Yakuza team is making, while the other team is making the larger game. Like they do, like the Pirate Yakuza is their equivalent of that this time around. Those are games they are making with assets that at least partially already exist.
So the budget might be lower, and that's not reported here, obviously.
Yeah. These numbers are really just useful as a gauge of popularity more than anything.
That's right. Yeah. Right, not health of a franchise.
No, totally. I think all these franchises seem like they are doing reasonably well.
This is a good segue right into Sonic Racing and other Sega leaks.
Yeah. This is interesting to me for a couple of reasons.
Okay.
So the gist of this story is that Sega has confirmed that yes, a bunch of Nickelodeon characters are going to show up in the new Sonic Racing Cross Worlds as DLC characters, I think. And this is interesting to me for two reasons. One, Nintendo's been out there basically saying, well, we didn't think we needed to put any other Nintendo characters or other characters into Mario Kart. Like, there's so many already. Look at Cow. You love Cow. Look at Cow. No one has ever needed more, which is, a different philosophical thing from the last game, but I sort of get where they're coming from.
Is Cal new? I'm sorry. I just have to derail this.
As a racer, yes.
Cal this is the first time Cal has been on the select screen?
Yes, Cal has always been a background element in Moo Moo Meadows and whatever, but has never been a driver.
I just fucking incredible that they didn't bother to give it a name.
It's just Cow.
That's great. That's great.
The other thing I was just going to say is that there's a larger thing here about leaking and what apparently the people at Sega think about these leaks and what have you. But ultimately, to me, the most interesting thing is look how happy SpongeBob looks in his little hamburger car. Look at that fucking shit.
He does look extremely, extremely happy.
How do you feel about this, Vinny?
I'm okay. Okay. I think I'll just echo a little bit of what you said. Sure. Bring in whatever characters you want and whatever deals. I think Danica Patrick was in Team Sonic Racing Transformed or whatever. Or Sonic Racing Transformed.
As herself?
Yes.
So
weird.
I don't care. Bring whatever you want. I think the thing to me that was, the part that you kind of talked about before that was most interesting was when this leak happened before they confirmed it. When Sega was like, you're going to fuck all this shit up. You keep leaking shit. Third parties or licensed partners do not like when you leak stuff. You could blow this whole thing up. Stop leaking shit. Which was like, all right, man. All right. I'm kind of with you. Get real here. Let's get real.
Listen.
Talk to me how about this deal might fall through.
As someone who was there front and center when Dan Reichert fucked up Guns N' Roses for harmonics, I know what they're talking about. But I also think that at this point, considering the relationship Sega has with Nickelodeon, I think because didn't that Sonic cartoon appear on Nickelodeon for a while?
I don't know.
I don't remember. Anyway, the point is, there's no way Nickelodeon's gonna be like, well, you leaked SpongeBob, so you don't get to have this stuff. Nickelodeon wants to make that money.
They do. I'm going to read this quote here, and this is from a little bit ago, but we realize a lot of people really, really want to know immediately all this great, cool stuff, fun stuff. But ultimately, when people leak, they're ruining the plans and potentially ruining the content. And we'd really like people to think about that and maybe not do this kind of negative stuff so much, okay?
Who said that?
Sounds like a thing.
You are killing SpongeBob, Larry.
Who said that? Who said that?
That was from the head of Sonic Team.
This is what happens, Larry. This is what happens when you fuck the head of Sonic Team in the ass.
Like ruining the plans, yes, you're not wrong, but nobody needs to care about your marketing plans. But ruining the content? What is he talking about?
It's that, the previous blurb before that was, in the event that you're dealing with licensed content, sometimes that leak will destroy a deal, and now you can't do some stuff because someone leaked something.
All right, sure, I guess. Yeah.
Which is definitely like, no, it's all fun. We're not having Christmas anymore. No, you like seeing your Christmas presents?
Yeah,
that's
fair.
cool.
Sherry Redstone is going to take my kneecaps. You motherfuckers.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of the Redstones, I was going to say, so I was going to say, who else could they put in this? Who else is Nickelodeon owned? Because this trailer,
God, Sherry Redstone in a coffin.
That's not where I was going with that.
Okay,
like the Undertaker.
No, it would be Sumner. Come on, it would be Sumner.
Sumner is the Undertaker.
No, she'd be riding Sumner's.
Of course. No, she's like fucking Waylon Smithers at the bottom of the casket. But he's like, "You'll be buried with me." Anyway, go on.
The trailer shows Minecraft, SpongeBob, Ninja Turtles, and Avatar, and there's two other slots with question marks. So I started to say, what is the stable of Nickelodeon characters? But I guess really it's just everything Paramount owns, right? It could be literally anything that Paramount owns, which is probably an insane list of IP.
Yes, it's very high.
Is that Avatar and TMNT?
It doesn't have to be under the Nickelodeon brand necessarily.
No, TMNT, absolutely is.
Oh my God, dude. I have just pulled up a list of Paramount Pictures franchises, and holy shit, dude. Addams Family, Adventures of Tintin,
Star Trek,
Dora the Explorer. That might be one of them. I don't know. G.I. Joe.
I can see it.
Although I Actually, sorry, these might be franchises that they have put out. Well, I guess this is all owned by them. It's hard to tell exactly.
G.I. Joe?
Yeah, I'm actually not. This list says
they might have exclusive rights.
Media franchises created or owned by Paramount Pictures.
Huh.
I'm not sure.
Maybe Hasbro just has the toy rights?
Well,
I'm actually not sure what the...
I'm pretty sure Paramount did put out those live-action G.I. Joe movies.
Yeah, I don't know what the ownership is there. Anyway, why don't we just get some real deep Nickelodeon cuts in there?
What, like Barth?
Like today's special?
Barth is a great one.
Yeah.
Donkey Lips, perhaps?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Pete and Pete?
Yeah, Pete and Pete. Like, yes. Like,
or at least Artie.
One of them is driving the cart. The other one, I don't know. You help me out here.
You're talking about like live action.
Mark Summers.
Mark Summers would be an incredible.
What would he be riding? Like a tongue, like a mouth with a tongue or something?
It's just constantly spitting boogers out.
What about just a piece of the aggro crag? No,
it's Moira. Moira is the one who you put in there.
Okay.
Riding a piece of the aggro crag.
Today's special, the security guard Sam or whatever, and Muffy the mouse or whatever.
Yep.
That's some pinwheel, just some somebody riding a pinwheel.
It is tough when you start talking about the stuff actually from our era. Like I'd say everything from about 88 to 89 up is definitely fair game, but like a lot of the stuff we were watching on Nickelodeon was licensed from other countries.
Yeah, it's mostly
Canada.
By Canada,
right.
You mean Canada?
Yes.
Yeah.
And some UK.
Is Rugrats owned by?
That's them. That's when like the Nicktoons stuff started.
Yeah.
So like Ren and Stimpy, Rugrats, Doug. I think eventually Rocko's Modern Life was part of that.
I want to say Doug is the one. That's the odd Doug out, I believe.
Okay.
I think Doug is actually technically owned by somebody else.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, but everything else is. Like Ren and Stimpy is owned by Nickelodeon, right?
Pretty sure. I mean, there's the whole like that animation house aspect of it, but I think the rights to Ren and Stimpy are still Nickelodeon.
Although, let's be real, like Rugrats was after my time, but even Rugrats, I think, is too old for this game at this point.
Oh, sure.
Definitely.
Like I started to make that point about the Sega stuff, like looking at those Persona numbers. Like Persona 5 is very much the Persona of record for the current youth, right?
Yeah, the last 10 years or so.
Kids know Joker.
Like even Persona 4, like when that Persona 4 remake trailer dropped at the Xbox stream, right? That was on. That was just like 10 seconds of nondescript footage. It's like, oh wow, the world has moved on when Persona 4 is not the thing that moves the needle anymore.
Joker's in Smash. Joker, what are you gonna do? It's do you guys ever see that Dora explains what Sigma means? Did you ever see that Dora the Explorer teaches you what Sigma means?
I'm not watching a lot of Dora the Explorer these days.
Sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe you should.
No.
Dora's got the Riz, apparently.
I'm good.
I could learn a lot. At some point, Dora becomes the thing for like boomers and like older people to be like.
I have to believe that has already happened, right? Like most of the people who grew up on Dora the Explorer are like 20 now.
I don't know when Dora started. Probably.
Like they're probably in college by this point, right? Dora's been around for a while.
Dora has been around for a while. We didn't watch a lot of Dora in our house.
That's fine. I mean, even people in young adulthood at this point are still part of the coveted 18 to 35 demo, right?
Yeah.
I don't have a segue for this to get out of here.
Anyway, are you excited for SpongeBob?
Am I?
Yeah.
Sure. I'm not a big SpongeBob person.
So you're a monster. Okay.
What's that?
You're a monster.
I'm a monster. I enjoy SpongeBob, but I was like a little too old to catch it when it was like would be in my
Well, you're a little too old and a little too sober.
Maybe a little too sober.
It's a favorite among stoners.
I've always respected SpongeBob because I like that weird stuff, and I think it seemed like it was weird. Like Ren and Stimpy was a thing when I was coming up. That was like, oh, this is weird. This is like
it's grotesque for what Nickelodeon normally did at that point.
Yeah, and SpongeBob seemed, and I think the thing I always liked about SpongeBob, and this is again maybe because I'm older, was like, and please somebody correct me if I've been repeating this misinformation, but I'm the creator is the marine biologist, right? Like he has a background in marine biology.
Well, I think the creator passed away a couple of years ago, but yes,
right?
I think that story is correct.
Which I always thought was cool.
Yeah,
I always think that's because it's a dumb thing to make a cartoon about, right? Like a sea sponge.
Also, Tom Kenny will never have to work again if he doesn't want to.
Sure. Brad, did you watch SpongeBob?
No, I've never seen it.
Okay. Yeah, it's like absurd, and I always like the absurd.
No, it's good cartoon stupidity. Like it's all I've always viewed that show.
Fair. Like I fucking loved Ren and Stimpy when it was new.
Yes.
Like when it first came on, that was extremely my shit. I'm trying to remember what else they were doing in animation at that time.
What
was that the Rugrats era?
Yeah, it was the same era.
Like that was probably Doug, Rocco.
Rocco came like
later.
a little bit
Rocco
later,
was
but
a
not
little
much.
later, I think.
Yeah.
How about like when was Toonami? That was a little
later.
That was later.
Okay.
But like we were coming out of that boom of the toy commercial Saturday morning cartoon stuff. It was before transition. Like the Batman animated stuff really kicked up. So it was kind of that in-between area.
Caught a little bit of the Batman animated series stuff, but I'd say like Ren and Stimpy and Beavis and Butthead were like the last animated things that I really attached to.
I watched a lot of Liquid Television before Beavis and Butthead became a going concern as well.
Yes.
So the Aeon Flux, you know?
Mm-hmm. Fuck, I loved Aeon Flux, dude.
Everybody loved Aeon Flux. Nobody understood Aeon Flux. I just
it didn't really matter.
Got to get that fly out of her eye. That's
it was legitimately the thing that taught me that cartoons could be horny.
Mm-hmm. These people are so weird looking.
That's Peter Chung's style, man.
Oh, there has been no high def release of that.
No, there hasn't.
Aeon Flux.
Yeah,
the world's too scared. The angles are too much.
They did put it out on UMD though.
The ideal format.
Too many hip bones. Mm-hmm. The world can't handle it. Well, Sonic Racing getting some confirmed other characters there from the Nickelodeon universe.
And that's out soon, isn't it?
Sonic Racing is...
It's
let me see if I can
certainly this year, but I thought it was actually pretty soon.
Like August?
Oh, that is soon. Let's see. August, Sonic Racing. I don't have it down for August. Let's see.
September.
September.
Okay.
25th.
That's still pretty soon.
But that's not the only racing thing out there with the dates. Brad Shoemaker.
Yeah, I threw this in here out of due diligence.
Oh, I guess this isn't really racing. This is basketball.
Professional obligation. I just threw this in here because drag cross drive, drag X drive, whatever you want to call it. Sports game for I could never keep it straight. I could never keep it. Yes, I honestly had the thought we should just start pronouncing that X as an and anytime somebody
or an N.
Anytime somebody is bold enough to use it in their title.
Yeah,
because it's just easier to say.
Sure we could, I'm almost positive somebody will have said it and we are just not hearing it.
Somebody's probably
publisher,
said it out loud.
developer, Nintendo has said it and we just have caught it.
Also, frankly, I don't know anybody but Street Fighter Cross Tekken has actually insisted on saying cross, but it sure did stick.
How about Ball Cross Pit?
Possibly.
Are we gonna do?
I still call it Ball Pit.
Ball Pit.
The story here is it got a release date, which is August 14th, but I mainly put it in here because I constantly kept thinking this was a launch game. I could not seem to keep straight when this game was coming out.
Yeah.
And so out of professional obligation, we are now here to say it's coming out on August 14th.
And professionally, Brad, what would Brad Shoemaker, professional games reporter, call
Gamesman.
that?
Are we...
Is that
a launch window?
Is that a
that's
launch
pushing
window?
it. That's over 2 months. That's over 2. That's what, 9 weeks-ish? Over 9 weeks?
That's pushing it.
I think that's pushing it.
Unofficially, I think, and maybe this will be the case, but maybe it won't be. If your second wave of restocks have happened, you're outside the launch window on your console launch, right? If you're at the point where readily available, they are stocking store shelves, and now you have the chance to get it, I feel like you've gone outside of the launch window.
You're probably right.
I think for me, launch window is the lucky people who are able to get one and then you can't get them for a while, or are the only people who can buy and play these games. Then you're in the launch window.
Right.
Did you see this game at all, Brad? Was this shown anywhere you were?
No, Nintendo
doesn't really.
Nintendo was not involved at all.
Still kind of curious how this nets out for them. Nets. Because it's like a basketball. Like a basketball game. I have yet with my Switch 2 to even try the mouse control stuff yet.
I mean, outside of Civ, there aren't a whole lot of things and I guess Nobunaga's Ambition, there isn't a whole lot you would really want to mess with it.
That's not true. Actually, I think I moved it around on the menu to see what that's like, and that was about it. as a mouse.
I keep going back and playing Streets of Rage 2 for some reason. Had you guys heard about this game, Streets of Rage 2? It's pretty fucking good.
The streets are really angry.
Yeah.
These streets. Go get a freaking metal pipe and take it to the streets.
I often do.
Streets of Rage 1 or 2 is the one where the car rolls up in the beginning and just knocks a bunch of people over.
I think that's not 2.
Is that not Streets of Rage? Or like the level starts with just a car pulling up?
In the relatively short list in the short ranking of beat 'em up intro animations, what do we have? We have Double Dragon 1. Toughs come up and punch your girlfriend in the stomach and then take her away.
Okay, but what about Double Dragon 2 where they just fucking murk her at the beginning?
Straight up machine gun her?
Yeah.
How else do any of those games start?
I mean, Final Fight just starts with whoever your character is walking into Metro City, but there's the cutscene. You get the cutscene of Mike Hagar getting the phone call.
I don't remember like a car running down situation in Streets of Rage, but maybe.
I thought it was just like how your characters enter the scene.
Maybe
it's possible. Like one of the specials in Streets of Rage 1 is to have the car roll up, right, and have a guy shoot like a bazooka out the window.
I think you're right. So Streets of Rage was never my franchise because I was just not a Sega kid growing up, so I didn't really play a lot of those games, but I've come to understand that yes, they are quite good. I maybe lean Final Fight, but Streets of Rage is still fucking great.
I mean, the soundtracks are like fucking Yuzo Koshiro, the god. Like just killing it on those things.
Yep.
I'll have to look it up at some point. I can't remember which one. I also did not have Streets of Rage because I was a Nintendo kid.
Second best beat 'em up franchise, I think.
Yeah? Final Fight, number 1?
Yeah.
Okay. With a
Final Fight's pretty good.
Final Fight's pretty fucking good.
Final Fight is pretty good. Final Fight's... Do you know when that came out on the Super Nintendo?
What, Final Fight? At launch. That was a launch.
Oh, that was
a launch? Okay.
Maybe not. Maybe it was launch window. I don't know. It's like it may not have been like day and date. I actually can't remember. But
it was early.
By Christmas of that fall that the SNES came out, it was definitely out.
Okay.
I think it might not have been actually day and date. Now that I think about it.
It was one of my most rented Super Nintendo games.
If anybody knows which game I'm thinking of, even if it's not Streets of Rage, let me know where the characters come in.
Wait, did you rent Final Fight or did you rent Final Fight Guy?
Whatever they had.
Okay.
Sometimes they had one or the other.
That was the tragic reality of Final Fight on the SNES. They did not pay for a ROM big enough to hold all 3 characters. So you only got Cody and Hagar out of the box.
They picked the right 2 if they were going to do it.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Guy's all right, but he's never the one I pick.
I played nothing but Guy in the arcade.
See, that's Guy propaganda. It's because they put him in the title that you think he's special. He's not.
That was the heyday of ninjas.
Yeah, but he wasn't even a great ninja.
He was the most ninja-like of the 3.
That I agree with, but I feel like he was a poor copy of what a ninja should be.
Oh no, it was November. SNES came out in August here, and Final Fight came out in November.
I mean, depending on your definition, that could be launch window.
Not quite launch window, perhaps.
Anyway, other game.
Anyway, how did we start talking about that from Dragon Drive?
We were talking about the games we were playing on our Switch 2, and what I was telling you was that I've played Mario Kart and I played a lot of Streets of Rage for some reason. That's kind of been it.
Yeah, okay, I love it. Well, that's going to do it for the news.
Okay.
One other tidbit here I'd like to add. A friend of the show, one Matthew Rory, has started the Matthew Rory Patreon. And
the
you
Matthew
can go
Rory experience.
Patreon.com/Matthew Rory if you want to check it out, which I was talking to Matt recently, and I got to get him on a stream sometime because we were talking about the Division 2, and he is the only person I know there's many out there because I see them playing, that A, is continuing to play the Division 2, and B, has just more, their shade level is so damn high. Division 2, so the reason I mentioned this too is that there's a write-up on his Patreon about the Division 2's expertise system, has become so arcane and weird. It's fascinating to dive into.
Are you saying shade level is a mechanic in the game?
Yes, your SHD.
I thought you meant he had just gotten very catty.
No.
He was just talking a lot of shit.
No, you're Shade Tech. You're SHD
I see.
Tech. It's amazing, and you should go check out his. If you are into the Division 2 and need somebody to share your Division 2-ness, go check it out. Special shout out to old Matt Rory on the Rory Roundup,
yes.
Patreon.com.
Friend of the pod.
Matt Rory loves some Ubisoft games.
Yes.
I can tell you from having followed him for years, that dude plays some Ubisoft games.
I'm going to have to, my level, I think, is 65 or 80. I think my brother's is in like the hundreds. I think my dad is in the thousands, and I think Matt's was in the tens of thousands or something.
Wow.
I have to double check. Yeah, it's
all right.
He has a higher level than a literal retired person, is what you're saying.
It's possible. My dad's shade level is pretty high. I might be off by a factor of 10. So all I know is when I see people's level, and I'm like, dude, I've got some hours in this game, and I'm like level 80. What is happening out there?
I feel like you had that response when you saw my Hitman level like a couple of weeks ago.
No, yes, but it's also your Civ hours that I am also like, oh, brother, you put some hours in.
You know what game I haven't been those kind of hours into? Civ 7.
Oh, yeah.
I have not been that compelled to go back. I will at some point, but man, it just has not hit for me the same way.
Okay, I mean, it's, everybody's got their Civ, right?
Yeah. I had 2. That's pretty good.
You got to hit a front of 2. They'll get you back. That's going to do it for the news. Again, feel free to reach out with any of that stuff, especially let me know what arcade beat 'em up I am thinking of. I don't know if it's Streets of Rage now. There was at least 20 Genesis beat 'em ups. It was a great time to be a beat 'em up.
Somehow it's going to be Altered Beast.
That would be very funny. They were driving a car.
Is Altered Beast a beat 'em up?
It's closer to it than not.
There's no. I've thought about that many times. There's no 3D movement. There's no moving in and out of the background.
Well, you don't have to have that.
It's a pure side scroller.
Is Contra beat 'em up with guns?
Contra, absolutely.
It's a shooter.
Absolutely not.
It's a side-scrolling shooter. There's a totally difference.
Yeah.
We beat 'em up with bullets,
So right. So is Altered Beast just a side scroller? I would say yes.
That's kind of what I was thinking when you said that. I was trying to think of things that are like Altered Beast, and maybe Contra is more like Altered Beast than Altered Beast is like a Streets of Rage.
Yes, I would agree with that.
I think spiritually,
especially
Altered
those dragon
Beast,
levels.
I think spiritually, Altered Beast has more in common with the beat 'em up than maybe you were giving it credit for.
Maybe you kind of power up, and then the level kind of changes a bit.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's a 1-to-1 comparison, but
what do we got? Like your core kit is melee attacks. Like punches and kicks are your main attacks, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the enemies do require multiple hits to kill.
Yeah.
You don't even really combo them though. Like you don't really do melee combos. You kind of just keep punching or kicking in the same way.
It's mostly forced scroll.
Yes, it's forced scrolling. There's no holds or throws, I feel like, are a big part of beat 'em ups.
Yeah.
Like getting people in a headlock and throwing them over your shoulder and shit like that.
It's just a groundbreaking game.
There's no jump kick. Well,
wait.
Okay, you can jump and kick, but it's like literally
jump and punch. Yeah.
It's like literally just doing the ground kick in the air. It's not like a special, not in the way that, like Ninja Turtles has that diving jump kick or something. It's not like a jump kick, like a special move.
Okay.
You can cheese it.
Let me go one level deeper. We can finally end this conversation in a second here, but I just want to go one level deeper on this. Is Kung Fu a beat 'em up?
I can't say. Have I ever played it? I'm not sure.
It's just a lot of ground kicks.
I mean, there's no 3D movement whatsoever, but you do jump kicks. You do a lot of punching. You are punching guys constantly.
Are you talking about NES Kung Fu?
Yes.
I don't know if I ever played that game.
You're going from right to left, though, aren't you?
How is that possible?
Are you going from left to right? I don't remember.
Sometimes you're going right to left. Sometimes you're going left to right.
Okay. Snakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think at least it's a primordial version of it.
What? Okay. Now, a brawler is like a Smash Brothers, right? That's a whole other category.
I always thought brawler and beat 'em up were kind of synonymous.
Yeah, kind of I mean, if you're talking about like a specific like platform fighter, like a Smash Brothers, I think that's kind of its
mascot
own
thing.
Brawler.
Yeah, platform fighter is 100% a Smash.
Yeah.
But are you making any distinction? This is what made me think of it. Do you make a distinction between brawler and beat 'em up?
I don't really.
Not really. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Someone probably does, and they'll yell at me about it, and that's fine. But I don't.
Interesting. Look, genres have always been broken.
They've always been broken.
And if you were making a game of the year list, could Altered Beast get in the same category as a Final Fight?
We don't give genre awards anymore.
There was a time. We'll have to go see. We'll have to go back to the tape or the print at that point.
We apparently need to make Brad play Kung Fu at some point, because I feel like you need to see that thing.
I should probably check that out.
There's an arcade version of Kung Fu.
There is an arcade version, I think. Yeah.
Who made that?
Nintendo, I think.
Wait. Really?
I think that was a Nintendo joint all around.
Wait, really? I'm going to have to look that up.
I mean, Nintendo definitely put out the NES version, I can tell you that.
What a bad name for SEO.
Is there just an arcade Kung Fu? I keep coming up with Kung Fu Master.
It may so Kung Fu might be a port of Kung Fu Master,
which was an IRM Data East joint.
I think Kung Fu Master is a different game, though, isn't it?
I think you're right. Yes.
Wait, maybe not.
No.
Maybe not.
What do we know about Kung Fu Master?
It might not be the.
Yes.
The arcade flyer. All I know about the arcade flyer from Wikipedia is the original Kung Fu game that's a proven earner.
Yep, there you go. IRM definitely put out the arcade version, but Nintendo R&D4 did the entirety of the NES version.
Oh, okay, so those are the same game, or at least that's a port of. Wow, did not know that.
The first line of this Wikipedia article, which take what you will. Kung Fu Master, known as Spartan X in Japan, is a 1984 beat-em-up game.
That could mean anything.
Developed and published by Iron Burke.
Anybody can go edit Wikipedia and put whatever they want on there.
Wait a minute. Hang on. I went one sentence deeper here.
Yeah.
Two, actually. The game was based, and this is the arcade version, not the NES version. The arcade version was based on the Hong Kong martial arts films. It is a loose adaptation of the Jackie Chan Sammo Hung movie Wheels on Meals.
Called Spartan X.
Are you kidding me?
I don't wait, what is that movie? I don't know that movie.
Well, no, it's just that I had no idea that was even supposed to be an adaptation of anything.
I mean, you want to go deeper.
Yeah.
Go down another 4 paragraphs. Miyamoto's work on the NES port inspired his development of the side-scrolling platform game Super Mario Brothers.
Oh boy.
Is this the Rosetta Stone game? Is this the thing that spirals out into all other video games? Also, Kung Fu is pretty fucking good. I mean, it's just, regardless, it's pretty fucking good.
Yeah. All right.
It was like the 4th NES game I ever owned.
It's pretty good. Good music.
Yeah. Mr. X.
I'll check it out as soon as I beat Karateka.
Okay. Great.
That bird, you'll take down that bird yet.
Man, I'm sorry. Now I'm looking at all these releases for this thing. It's of the age when it's all the weird ports, all the different stuff. Okay, that's gonna do it for the news. And let us know. Sound off in the comments below. What's a beat 'em up? What's a brawler? Is Altered Beast a beat 'em up? Is it a brawler? World may never know. Let's take it to an email or two.
Right.
Brad Shoemaker, a podcast at nextlander.com, podcast at nextlander.com, podcast at nextlander.com is the email address. Do we have some emails?
This is going to be an all Travis in Fargo special.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. This is your time, Travis.
Travis in Fargo can set your watch to it, sends 5 emails a week.
Uh-huh.
And I have been slacking on pulling some of his emails.
Okay.
Something about the way Gmail sorts your emails, in my defense, has gotten really shitty. It's hard to explain without.
That's fine.
Maybe put different subject lines on your questions from now on. It'll be a little easier to sort them.
Interesting.
All right. The first one is going to be, again, it's hard to dig through these threads now. Where did it go? All right. I really want to Switch 2, but I'm willing to wait 18 months to see if they release an updated version with better battery life, improved joysticks, or even an OLED screen. Am I being a fool?
Yes.
I'm not going to say you're being a fool. I'm going to say that you will wait far more than 18 months for that.
That's more what I mean, is that the timetable you are laying out is not feasible.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? I think it was over 4 years from the Switch to the Switch OLED.
Yeah.
Granted, the Switch Lite came out. Oh, but there was there was like a stealth refresh of the original Switch. I think it was around the time the Switch Lite came out. It was a very, very minor upgrade. Like consoles get redesigned quietly inside multiple times per generation. Like it was one of those where that first revision of the Switch had like people clocked like slightly faster load times in games, like slightly better, like an extra 30, 45 minutes of battery life, or it might have been more like an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Like there were battery life improvements to that first Switch that didn't look any different on the outside. But then the actual OLED Switch took like 4 years and change to come out, I think.
So for the sake of this email, we're talking about a different SKU, a different
new version.
He says better battery life, improved joysticks. Those are things that could show up.
Yeah.
Stuff like that could show up in 18 months, maybe. I doubt it.
I'd say that like if you want more of a refresh, though, you're going to be waiting a while.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably going to be some headroom there. Like, not to get all in the weeds here, they fabricated the chip in the Switch 2 on like a pretty old process that is known to not be the most power efficient. So there's probably going to be a lot of headroom for better battery life in the future once they put that on a smaller process node.
I'd say also, this thing's going to sell pretty well. I think, let's hope, knock on wood, if there's a hardware problem, I think definitely you will see something about sticks or battery life. But, these things tend to pop up depending on sales, right? How well the thing is doing, how much money you're going to put into it, and what the problems are.
I assume they've got timetables figured out for
absolutely
when they want to goose numbers with a better version and stuff.
So, I mean, look, my bigger thing would be like if there's nothing that's grabbing you for the Switch 2 right now, then you just wait. There's no reason to wait. If there's something you want to play that you feel like you're burning a hole in your pocket, get in there. But if there's nothing you're dying to get,
well,
wait. I guess the only thing would be, and this is ever evolving, is where you live and what the price might be in the state of the economy.
Yeah, I mean, all other things being equal, assuming you can get one without jumping through hoops. But this email starts, I really want to Switch 2, so
I think if you really want to Switch 2, go for it.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a while. I bet it's at least a couple years before we see any real tangible improvements, even to the base model.
Yeah. But who can tell? Don't take our word for it. Like, that's a Digital Foundry thing.
Yes.
All right. Second.
Let me find it. As I said, these threads are a bit hard to parse these days. Talk amongst yourselves.
Okay.
Actually, no, I found it.
Okay, great.
From Assassin's Creed Shadows to Shinobi to 2 new Ninja Gaiden games and more, everyone is saying this is the year of the ninja. How do you feel about this, and what video games would have benefited most by the addition of ninjas? I don't know. That's a pretty broad question at the end there, but
it's pretty good year for ninja games. I don't think ninja games have ever really gone away.
But the Ninja Gaiden stuff in particular feels like they are trying to manufacture themselves a year of the ninja, and I think I'm actually okay with that.
Wait, Ninja Gaiden in particular?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's the Ninja Gaiden 4 announcement. There's the side-scrolling one that's coming.
Rage-bound.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you mean. It's kind of a consolidated marketing push. Sure.
Yeah.
Is Ghost of Yotei a ninja game?
I don't think they've said enough yet definitively that it is, but I think it's probably at least ninja adjacent, and we know there's ninja shit, shinobi shit in Assassin's Creed.
Right, it really seems from what they've shown that they're pushing her in more of a stealth direction versus the kind of like straight up samurai action of the first game.
Yeah, I'll take it. I don't mind a year of the ninja. We take it over.
When was the last year of the ninja?
Oh.
When was the last time ninjas were this hot?
Whenever the last American Ninja movie came out.
Ninja Turtles 2.
Whenever they finally put out New York Ninja.
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago. Here's the thing. We talked about this when we did our Ninja Boom month on the Watchcast, but ninjas are cool. Yeah. Ninjas are also one of the cheapest, most easy to exploit things you can throw into your various forms of media to have a cool-looking good guy or a bunch of stuntmen dressed up as bad guys. I think the importance of the ninja is mostly pertains to video games these days. It's the only place where ninjas can really gain purchase culturally. That said, I'm excited for these Ninja Gaiden games. I'm all for anyone trying to put more ninjas and stuff, unless it's Sky, who is not that interesting of a ninja.
You may be surprised, Well, I'll let you guys figure it out on your own. There was a thing I was going to bring back from the beginning of the show, ninja related, but I'll leave it for you to discover on your own.
Is Norman Reedus a ninja?
I'll shift gears and maybe I'll shift gears and say, is Sam Fisher a ninja?
No, he's a tier 1 operator or whatever the fuck they call his version of it. But is he a
ninja? He basically crouches around in the dark. Okay.
He doesn't use a lot of bladed weapons.
Yeah. He also doesn't perch either. I bet his balance is not very good.
He's got some perching.
Kind of a dangler. He's more of a dangler.
He can do those takedowns from ledges and stuff like that. But, he's got all the tricks, right? Little sound making darts and all those things that you can pop against the wall.
Right. So Batman's a ninja then, by that same definition.
Oh yeah, Batman's always been a ninja.
Well, Batman has always known martial arts and had a lot of gadgets, but is he explicitly a ninja? These are Western proper ninjas? The Batman and the Splinter Cells of the world. Basically, what defines a ninja? Richard Harrison.
Who?
Richard Harrison.
Okay. The
Ninja Terminator himself.
Tier 1 ninja. Yeah. Does a ninja need to have a katana?
At least some kind of sword or blade.
Yes.
What? You say yes?
Some kind of sword, absolutely.
It could be a tanto. It could be a bunch of ninja stars.
The video game ninja needs some kind of sword.
Could be a wakizashi.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now you're just being rude historically here. Okay, thank you very much. What was the game? I think one of my favorite ninja games that I cannot remember. That it was the side scroller. It was
Ninja
not even a scroll. No, it wasn't even a. Time would freeze, and you like plan your moves out. Was it a clay game or was
Yes, it was not Mark of the Ninja, was it?
Oh, maybe it was Mark of the
Ninja. That was Mark of the Ninja.
Okay, that game was cool.
Yeah, that was a good
game. Anyway, yes. What game could benefit from the addition of ninja? Ninjas or ninja? Do we care?
Any ninja. Any form of ninja.
Let's see. What game could benefit? Blueprints.
Sonic Racing Crosswinds.
There you go.
Crusader Kings.
Great. We nailed it.
Yep. All right.
Got another email?
Yes.
One more.
Last one from Travis and Fargo.
Okay.
Do you have qualms about showing emotion in public? My last living grandparent recently passed away. Condolences. And I was listening to stuff. Shit. I'm afraid to say this artist's name out of fear of making a fool of myself.
Okay.
Sufjan Stevens? I don't know.
Sufjan.
Is it Sufjan? Okay.
Stevens.
I wondered if the J was a Y sound. I've never heard it said.
I bet I'm doing it super wrong, but that's how I've always heard it said to me.
I was listening to the album Carrie and Lowell, watching my kids play in an indoor playground, and I started weeping. But then a kid who was attending a birthday party there thought I was an employee and needed help finding the bathroom. So I helped him and then went back to my reflective episode.
Do I have an issue showing emotions in public? I mean, I think, I don't know. I've tried, I get a little embarrassed sometimes if like I'm having an outpouring in some kind of public space, but like, I'm not opposed to it, and I don't get angry with myself if I do it. It's just more of like a personal embarrassment than anything else.
I think I'd be more I don't have a problem showing emotion. I think I get self-conscious if I lose control of the emotion.
Yeah.
Any emotion, anger, sadness, anything like that. It's the loss of control where I couldn't turn it off if I wanted to, right? Like, if I'm weeping uncontrollably, or even if I'm like lost my temper or something like that, anything like that, even laughing hysterically, I would get self-conscious about. But like I'll tear up and cry in a movie, like I don't mind it.
Oh yeah,
and above it,
I don't care.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. But it's the like it's the part where you start making sounds that you don't want to share in public. Is that's probably when I get self-conscious about it, right? When you make your personal emotional sounds, the sounds you can't control. Brad, do you have a?
Oh no, that about covers it.
Yeah, it's probably the loss of control, like teary-eyed and crying, no problem with, even in public. Sobbing, I think I get more self-conscious about.
All right, one more, because Travis did, right? As I said, sends a series of emails, and this one was 2 minutes later than that one. Do you have any funny joke apps on your phone, like a fart machine or that beer pouring one?
Nope.
I think I still have the Drake tracker somewhere.
Wow, does that still work?
I don't know if it does, but I think I still have it.
I assume the beer pouring one does not work anymore.
I don't even know what the beer pouring one was.
Was that was that just called iBeer?
Did it like pour out as you tip the phone to the side?
Yes, that's
Okay.
that was like the original iPhone like stupid joke iPhone app.
Okay.
Actually, I have to update. I knew that it was no longer available in the store for like getting, but apparently I can't even download it on this phone. It just doesn't even work. So Drake Tracker is dead.
Oh, well.
Yeah, the Apple breaks compatibility with old apps fairly regularly if they aren't updated.
So my phone is now jokeless.
All right.
Fart cat count?
Yes, I don't think that works anymore either.
Okay.
That was the most serious thing ever made.
Also, no, actually, Fart Cat was a serious game.
It was a serious app for serious people.
You could play that game. That was a game.
No, I don't. I actually fewer and fewer apps on my phone.
Yes, I'm trying to keep a certain pruned garden in there if I can.
Yes. All right. Well, thanks, Travis, for writing in.
Yeah. I actually just
And everybody else.
Yes, thanks everyone for writing in. We'll look through more emails as the weeks continue. So please write in. I just deleted all the apps I had to download for Switch 2 a Palooza. That horrible night of trying to get a Switch 2, the Walmart, the Target, the Best Buy apps I downloaded, and they are now off my phone.
Good.
But they probably took all my information with them, as they want to do. That's going to do it for the show. Again, podcast at nextlander.com. That's where you can get those emails in. Whew.
Another marathon episode.
Yeah. You gotta get back into some more Death Stranding too?
Yeah.
No, walk around a little bit. Go deliver.
I got some walkies I'm going to do.
We got a Patron's Choice coming up this week. So look for a poll going up, or probably up by the time that this goes up. And go vote for this Friday's Patron Choice poll. On Monday, we mentioned it before. We had Will Smith come. Brad and I did some Peak. You can check that out. Also on Monday, we had another episode of the Watchcast as we continue with Star Trek. What's coming up next week?
The episodes for next week are, I believe, Metamorphosis and Journey to Babel.
Okay.
I think that's the title of the 10th one. It's the Sarek episode, whatever that one is.
Okay. Yeah, we're recording that tomorrow.
And the ones for iMud and what was the other one? My brain.
What was the other one? The Halloween one, Cat's Paw.
Yes, Cat's Paw. That one is already up on the Patreon.
You can check that out over on patreon.com/Nextlander with a bunch of other stuff. We'll have a Planorama going up next week. We have Never Been a Better podcast going up end of this week that we just recorded, where we talk about the state of the world. Talk a little bit about the state of the world, and we have some got some thoughts. It's Austin Walker, Jeff Backlar join us for that one. That'll be up again Friday. That's my plan, is Friday for that. All over at patreon.com/Nextlander. A bunch of different tiers there on the Patreon. You can find a tier that fits you perfectly, like a glove. Like a glove?
Like a glove.
Like a glove. Like a like a cool pair of, I don't know. Like a glove. And whatever you want to wear. I was going to say like a warm jacket. I don't even want to think
like
about
a nice pair
jacket.
of kung fu shoes.
There you go.
Like a cool moisture wicking shirt.
There you go. Maybe.
Like a t-shirt wrapped around your face to make a ninja mask.
There you go. Whatever makes you the most comfortable, you can find it over at patreon.com/Nextlander and get into it. There is one tier there that gets their names read on this here show, and it's the Mysterious Benefactors tier. I'm going to read those names for you right now. Starting with Sean Miller. Support your local Pride festivals. RRE, Alpha Rhythm, Infelicitous Rips, David L., Kelly F., Brian Lucier, Skywarp, Jason Grimm, John Hubbard, NXL Retirement Fund, Evan Cook, Mark Wilhelm, Jerry Lee, Deidra, Conqueror of Arrakis, Gary Pejke, Robert Fisher, gbeast.bunnycrimes.com, Jad Rita, Statics, Brian Murphy, Randy Duax, Randy Alderson, Andrew Tiebkin, Alex Wu, It's me, JP, Edward Chick, Andrew Slosky, Steve Lynn, Matthew Herrig, David Campos, and Tyler Treese. Those are our mysterious benefactors for this week. Thanks to all of them, and thanks to everyone else who has gone to support us. Patreon.com/Nextlander. And of course, thanks for supporting us anywhere else, listening to the podcast that you're doing right now. Even if you don't even realize it, you are listening to this podcast. If you are hearing this, that's it. You're doing it. You're supporting us, and we appreciate it. Watching us on Twitch, watching us on YouTube, all of these things, or basically just spreading the good vibes. Even if it's not for Nextlander, if you are spreading a good vibe out there, you're helping me. You're helping. You don't realize it. You're helping me out. You may not even be listening to this podcast. Maybe somebody's telling you, Vinny said on a podcast that if you spread the good vibes, you're supporting Nextlander, and you are, because you're helping me. Because I could use some more good vibes out in this world.
Just increase the store of pleasantness in the world.
Yes.
That's right. You're doing it. You're doing it, and you're making everything better, and I appreciate it. You're the real You're the real heroes out there doing it.
Carry those vibes on your back, walk them across a hellscape, and bring them to me.
That's right. That's right. Pile them up high.
Mm-hmm. Stack them if you got them.
Just make sure they don't get too damaged, spray them down if the container starts degrading.
That's right. Watch out for the timefall rain. Things happen, but you'll get there. You'll get there eventually. We'll have more about Death Stranding 2, I'm sure, on another upcoming version of the Nextlander podcast. Like we said before, we do have some vacation time coming up in the near future, but you will be, I think, have an archived episode of Never Been a Better Podcast, and we're planning on recording an extra Ramblecast, so you should be able to check those things out during that. When is the actual date that we're all out?
I believe it is the week of the 7th.
Week of the 7th? Okay. And then, Brad, you're out the week after that, right?
Yep.
So stay tuned for that stuff. And we will be back. Alex Navarro, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Brad Shoemaker, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll return with more Nextlander podcast next week. See ya.